Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a life-
Per the State versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis.
And DJ Neko.
Here with you on the Metal Time Radio podcast with another episode of Global Unscripted, where we talk social issues, entertainment issues, politics, and so on and so on. What's that?
Issues.
Issues and tissues.
You better get a tissue.
So we got a couple of topics to talk about. Somehow Asmongold is always kind of like in the center of everything that's going on.
Well, I think part of it too is he's someone that we really enjoy. So when things happen that involve Asmon, we kind of like gravitate to like the behind the scenes crap.
Yep. And but we're gonna start with the first one because you know, a while back when I was on one of the gaming streams for When I Raid episodes, I was talking a little bit about Asmon's origins when he was talking about a couple of years ago when he had to like make an announcement that one of his good friends, Rich Campbell, who was one of the co-founders of OTK, which is their like gaming community,
And that's their job,
right?
too. You have to realize that's like
Right. And
their
so,
company.
but they were really good friends when they formed that, like really good friends. And so it was kind of like a sour day for Asmon to have to make the announcement that Rich was stepping down. And the reason for that was Rich was being accused of rape, sexual assault. And thus he, at least according to Asmon and the rest of the OTK people, he resigned. That was what they said. Now,
And that's a hard thing for both the OTK group and for Rich himself because the accusations were made very public.
yeah, it was really a weird thing, is if I recall, like the time that Rich found out he was actually on camera doing an interview or some sort of talk show or something, ended up getting a text on his phone, and he clearly looked like he was a bit distraught when he saw it.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't you be if you got?
Oh yeah,
that kind
just
of-
out of nowhere, it's
Yeah.
like you know, bam, right there, you know.
any kind of bad news or scary news that you receive in a text message or you see something blow up, like regardless of if it's a right or wrong thing, you know, you get a text message, your mom's sick, like that would get you flustered too.
Right. And so basically the messages have been coming from, or basically the message came from a girl named Azalea Lexi, who is an OnlyFans girl who Rich had been kind of hanging out with and kind of sort of, wouldn't say so much dating, but they were just kind of seeing each other. At least that was sort of the
They were like a mini item.
yeah. So he steps down, and then he pretty much said from the get-go, like 2 years ago, that he wasn't gonna say anything until he put his thoughts together, and then he would come back and make a statement. Well, 2 years passed, and people thought, well, he either was guilty of it and he just had nothing to say, or he just kind of dropped off the planet. We never heard from him. So it's kind of like everyone just kind of thought it was kind of weird that he said he was going to say something and never did.
And I mean, we always say that about people who jump the gun and like Vosh, who try to mitigate things and then they make it worse. So
Right.
maybe dropping off the face of the earth until he got his ducks in a row was the right thing to do, because he was getting accused of some really terrible things. And we still don't have any kind of resolution. Like, nothing was taken to the police or anything. So it's like, it was all just a bunch of, she said this in a very public forum on Twitter, accusing him of something, and then he just stayed quiet because he wanted to get his side out there. Now, it really would suck if he really did rape her. However, there was never any like police report or anything. It was just all done on Twitter.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing that's a little bit weird. And we'll get into it with the video from Henry Brazilian in a minute. But Azalea like never went to the police the night that it happened, and
or even
as
after she made her accusations, she never
Neko
went
pointed out,
forward.
she's just kind of like putting him on full blast on public forums like social media, even to the point where she's kind of attacking his newest girlfriend shortly after this event supposedly took place, and harassing another girl that he was dating, to the point that she just kept replying like, your boyfriend's a rapist, your boyfriend's a rapist. Like, she just kept doing on every post that this other girl would do. So it's a little weird that,
And I mean, I'm saying that's not weird, because when you feel like you've been scorned, women do crazy things like that. But my biggest thing is she went very public and went forward, but after that it just fizzled out. Like, she didn't file a police report, she didn't seek legal counsel, she didn't do anything that would help her.
hold on.
Okay,
Well,
sorry.
yeah. So the thing about the other girl though is that it's basically harassment at that point, because she
That
was
is, yeah.
post after post after post after post. And again, like, Azalea eventually went back to OnlyFans like shortly after this event took place. So again, just from the outside looking in, if someone has supposedly trauma from rape generally doesn't jump right back into the fray with like taking their clothes off of the camera, or
That I wouldn't don't even put that as a thing.
well, I have to question it. I think it's fair to question that. Like, I from things I've observed with women who go through trauma, that's not something that they normally do. Like, I've never ever heard of a woman who's been raped or assaulted that thinks they usually get reclusive and they get, depressed and all this other stuff. So that to me is weird. So I mean, it's my opinion. I'm not saying she was or wasn't raped. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it's weird.
My thing that I think is unusual is if you have the balls to go in such a public forum and make this declaration, and it was on Twitter /X, whatever we're calling it now, for a while, and it was up there. Like, she had like multiple posts detailing what happened during the evening, and then, as you were saying, felt like it was her right to harass the new girlfriend. If you're comfortable enough doing all of that and coming forward in a public forum, and you are staunchly believing that you were raped, and you were raped, and you say you were raped, then why not go to the police? Like, at this point, it's out there. Go to the police. If it really was something that happened and he needs to be held accountable, that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Because a lot of people, as you said, who are assaulted, they may not go to the police, but they're not going to be on Twitter like putting someone on full blast. They're going to be keeping it quiet.
Lashing out, like, that's a little bit more understanding. I just didn't understand it when it came to the other girl, because she had like zero to do with the event.
But a lot of times the women, when they come forward, it's hard for them because of the shame. Like, they don't want to, they feel like they did something wrong. Well, she clearly, when she put that Twitter post up, she knew she did nothing wrong. So why not take that and let it make its way through the legal system? You know, it's been about 2 years now,
Well, I
so
think because here's the thing, like she apparently did sue Rich Campbell. I don't know.
oh, so she sued him personally for civil lawsuit, or did
I'm
she?
guessing because
Because if she sued him personally through a civil lawsuit, that's different.
and that's how I think it is because he's now countersuing for defamation. So there's all this stuff going on. But Rich is going to get into it. We'll check out the video if you need me to stop it. I've already watched it once, so I've kind of
Okay,
know
I
what's
haven't
going.
watched this one. You say this is Rich, the legal, he's an
This is
attorney.
Henry Resilient.
Okay, sorry.
So he may have a legal background, I'm not sure, but he actually got a hold of the legal documents of this whole case. So
Interesting.
obviously it's redacted in some areas, but
Mostly.
If you don't know, Rich Campbell, former founder of OTK, was on his way up to the top until Azalea Alexi made this heinous complaint about him graping her. It's crazy. She did file a lawsuit against him for...
In case anybody's following, he says grape instead of the other word because I don't know if it's to avoid
Yeah, because
from
YouTube has
algorithms.
That's why a lot of times when you're talking about sensitive things,
PDFs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or what would you call it? Spaghetti or something?
yeah, spaghetti, or cheese pizza.
Cheese pizza. Yeah.
for the alleged grape, but this is starting to look more like a response to her knowing that his lawsuit was coming. As in, he likely reached out to her and said, hey, I'm about to sue you. Probably, I don't know what type of settlement he was looking for. And his lawsuit is moving forward. I checked hers. That shit is in the same location. The biggest difference is she said she was under the influence. Okay. Now, when it comes to his lawsuit, this is.
I guess some of this I'm not really familiar with, like the timeline of stuff. I did read, like I said, I was telling you earlier, I think he's countersuing for like $3.6 million or something.
Yeah, a defamation, libel per se, intentional interference with contract, intentional interference with prospective contract, negligent interference with prospective contract, intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at the time, remember, he was at a like a convention. He was speaking. It was all gamer things. I know a lot of people make fun of gamers and stuff, but that's his livelihood, and he made a good living. Like the whole OTK crew it's what it is, and don't fault people for making a living. So
down here you can tell at the bottom a little bit, it says demand for jury trial. So he definitely wants us to go to a jury.
All right, let's see.
This is big shit. He made a lot of allegations. This was like 25 pages. It was against their super fan, groupie, all this other stuff, the OnlyFans model, basically assassinating their character. But there was some good things to take away from this. His loss of, it's really 1.8 million per year, 1.8 million per year that he lost out on. He labeled her a scorned ex-lover, making these false grape allegations, not only against her himself, but against another man that he alleged that she made the allegation. Now, I'm not going to go through everything of this. One thing to take away.
He lost followers, but that is loss of revenue as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to think that. I think what it is too with OTK.
And he had to leave OTK, which
what they're like, since they're a group, like even though they make their own money, but they also kind of split it a little bit. There's like a percentage because
they probably have an OTK group, but each of them has their own thing.
And Emily, so they got like, it's almost like taking stock, so they got a piece of that,
From this lawsuit that he posted is that he did have a witness, which was the roommate Steve, who basically was there during the whole ordeal. His story was she wanted more sex, she wanted a relationship. He said no. Then she got obnoxious, told her to leave. Steve was roommate. He heard everything. Now let's get to the update. All right, character. But there was story was she.
So that's going to be a problem because if he has a witness to that whole events of the evening, like that's going to cause some problems for her.
Yeah, I mean, if there is literally a witness who's in there and can put himself at the scene at the same time. Now, granted, it is his roommate too, so it's hard to be like, yeah, he's not an objective witness. But honestly, when you start unfolding a lot of these things, because she has been deemed a super fan, a clinger, she wanted him, she wanted to be part of this group. She didn't get her way, so maybe the
Yeah,
false
I mean,
allegations.
that's going to be the battle of the lawyers there. They're just going to have to. They're going
And
to.
I'm wondering too. Do you have those original tweets of the claims that she made? Because I
He
remember they
pulls
were
some up.
okay. They were
So
very specific about like what she claims. Like she was like, I walked up there and I did this and I did that.
yeah, there was some stuff that was really weird because like I think she mentioned at one time that like he had a fetish for wanting to get her pregnant or something weird.
So
Shit.
let's see what Henry has to say.
Scheduled for April 19th, 2024. Oh, but this ain't it. This ain't the biggest update. You're like, well, this is just a case management conference. Like how's the cases going to go? This is cool, but where's the big ish? Well, here's the cover sheet, guys. And remember, he is suing her for defamation. And this is a brand new document. I didn't show it previously. Over 25,000 because, remember, he's making 1.8 million per year that year. And it's just for defamation. But then he submitted this notice of errata. Notice of errata. All right. Now, what is this notice of errata? This is a completely new document. It was filed on the 19th. This snuck through the cracks because I was checking up on this, right? But this ain't the biggest part of it, right? The biggest part comes after it. But if you remember, when I was going through the lawsuit of his, where in the video I showed the tweets that they were making, he was like this. So now we have a little explanation of why none of those tweets were included, like proof of them. This is, to the court on the 15th. And now comes Rich Campbell. Please take further notice that due to a clerical error, exhibits to the complaint were inadvertently omitted. According to counsel for plaintiffs, hereby attaches exhibits hereto. Now look, I said how convenient because now we're about to get all of the evidence, like his proof. And now, if you guys don't remember, I was like, yo, he was talking about, she was saying that he was graping her on his girlfriend's post. And I'm like, I couldn't find them. So now we're about to get the proof, okay? So now we go down to Exhibit A. Exhibit 1. Now this picture right here, it just shows what you're supposed to take away. Remember, the allegation took place on the 31st. He was making the argument she went back to regular life on the 2nd, posting her, salacious pictures. And he showed proof. I know y'all brothers is starving.
Brother's starving.
Yes, sir. But he's like, look, she went back to, her regular shit. Now, it really don't get good until a little bit later. Now, what I did notice is these tweets that he showed.
So, yeah, Mia is actually the girl that was apparently dating Rich shortly after these events took place.
Is simply, they were recently captured. Like, they probably captured them at or around the 15th or the 19th when they submitted this into evidence. It was like, hey, because if you go back to the court docs, it's like, hey, she submitted this, she tweeted this, and it had 40,000 views. Now, when you say, oh, I didn't have it, I updated, now it kind of like it's at 360K views, and it was 363 views today. So I imagine, people are still looking at this stuff.
Pause that real fast.
Stuff, I did not.
He's putting these tweets because this is part of his complaint. You do see that, right? Yeah. So he's putting these tweets together so he can show how many people timeline and how many people see what she's doing.
Right.
And his defense is, okay, she's accused me of something horrible. I am not agreeing with this. I did not assault her. However, when she puts these things out, these are how many views. So it's hurting me personally because I've had to stop tweeting, I've had to stop streaming because I have to clear my name, and I didn't do this. And whether or not he did or didn't, he's going through like his claim, like this was just a bad sexual experience, or she was trying to cling to me when I didn't want to be with her. Whatever his reasoning is, his defense too is, if this really was a rape, would she be doing this?
Right. Yeah.
So I understand where he's collecting all of this, because the more that this goes out into the public, out into the ether, and more people see this, it just adds to, it's like putting fuel on a fire. More people saw it, so it's putting a bad name to him. Yet he knows he can't respond, because as soon as you get accused of something as serious as grape, then you have nothing to say. What can he say? Because as soon as he says something like, no, I didn't do it, it was consensual, and then she just got crazy and left.
Well, a lot of people have said that
you can't, that's not a defense, because as soon as a woman says rape, you go, oh, he raped her, and then he's like, no, it was consensual. That's why he actually was smart to get this together instead of trying to like jump on grenades immediately.
A lot of people said that was the smartest movie made, is just not saying anything and just taking his time, because this is what he's been doing apparently.
Hopefully he has some kind of other.
I did not. Rape cases are very difficult and generally not believed, especially when someone has the status he has. But people deserve to know. Now, this is at 40.8.
That's her
now,
status. Look, like, nobody else knows who the hell he is outside the gamer world.
And don't think it's an accident that
think about
this
these women who were raped by Bill
calling
Cosby,
her
how
out
long
was
it
put
took
in here.
them to come forward.
You could say it's a screenshot, but you know, things like this put in the court documents. Remember, a judge is going to read this shit. A jury, potential jury, is going to read this stuff. So, you know, hey, no one is doubting you went there. That isn't the question.
I don't know. It's probably just a random X user or whatever. So or Twitter at the time, I'm assuming. But a lot of people were calling her out because of the inconsistencies with her shit. So,
but going there is not proof of grape. No one is doubting you. You stayed in a hotel. So basically, people are like, yo, where's the proof of grape? Well, I posted my hotel receipt. They like, okay, but that doesn't mean grape.
Yeah, that is proof of.
That doesn't mean grape.
I mean, that's why they always say, woman, if you are getting in a sexual assault, the proof is in your panties, so to speak. Go get a rape. Go immediately get get a rape kit. Even if, I mean, like, let's put it this way, it would be real tough for him if immediately she went to get a rape kit and said that she was assaulted. Even if it was consensual, there would be evidence of sex, right?
Right.
But she didn't.
Because he that's the thing. He can say, yeah, we've had a consensual sexual relationship forever. So, but, you know, she never went the night of to say, hey, yeah, he raped me.
And that is the evidence you need, honey. That is what you should have done, because if you are raped, and it's hard for women, I know it is, but the police want concrete evidence. But instead of you doing that, you just went on your whole tirade and for months and months and months. I am not rape shaming. Don't think of that. I'm just saying, if anyone is being sexually assaulted, please immediately.
Just because history has not been the kindest to rape victims, and this goes for men too.
God, yeah.
The reality is you have to do it. You have to go.
I mean, and it's hard because you're sad and scared and upset, but the evidence that they want.
And see, she probably thought once he stepped down that she had won, like whatever she was trying to do. But now she's facing some serious shit.
But you see, like, what people are saying, like, no one's not saying you were there. No one's not saying that you went to a hotel. We're not saying that but if you're not giving us the proof, which would have been that rape kit or filing a police report, at least that would have been something more serious. She's not treating this like a crime. She's treating this like something to give her more
clout.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, and I hope she wasn't raped. I hope this didn't happen, because that would be awful. But if you really want justice, you don't go on Twitter and start like posting a bunch of shit. Yeah, you can do that, but
Yeah,
the evidence is in
but
your
that's just public
panties.
of court opinion.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with legalities of anything.
You know,
And you're telling me she
and
never
that's
went to
what
the police,
people are
right?
saying. Look, I cannot
She
speak
never
for
did.
other people, but I firmly believe,
There
yes,
we
you
go.
did go to his. Yes, you did go to a hotel. Yes, his intention was sexual, but I draw the line at that. So, you know, a lot of people are coming out like, I don't believe you. And then you got the people right here like, hey, why didn't you go to the police? You lose credibility now. How are we supposed to know if it's true or
I don't
not?
like saying
Women
she
can do
loses
bad.
credibility, but it makes her argument harder because if she's claiming something so horrific, but yet she doesn't take it serious enough to go to the police,
That's it.
do you know what I mean? I'm not saying she didn't have a sexual assault. What I'm saying is she's trying to just throw all these accusations at the guy. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like the Johnny Depp thing. You know, this is the thing. People hated it because they don't like the idea that you can sue somebody for defamation, but this is a protection that men need. And the problem is, if she can just go on and start saying whatever she wants, saying he raped her and it didn't happen, this guy's life's ruined.
Well,
Fucked.
look at what Aziz Ansari, I think I pronounced his name
Azir,
wrong. That he had a date and they had a sexual encounter, and then she accused him of sexually assaulting him, and he was like really stunned because I heard like from both sides, like he was like, no one said no, like
Well, no,
and then she
not
said,
quite.
huh?
Not quite.
What?
What happened was, she really liked him, and they.
We might be talking about two separate things then. Go ahead, you go.
Yeah, no. She really liked him. They had a date, and they came back to his apartment or whatever, and like he started going down on her or something, and then I think she kind of did the same for him, but he wanted to have sex, and she said it was probably too soon or something. She didn't want to do that, but then they stopped, and I guess they started watching TV or something. But then they re-engaged, like messing around, and then end up having sex. But the thing that he kept saying was that she never said no. Like, and then girls, like, you know, across the universe were like, well, you should have read the signs, and like, and I'm like, for me, like, we're not mind readers. We can't.
No, wait a minute. Maybe it was two separate instances because it was something similar where like they did actually have sex.
No, he did.
And she said, like, you know,
Oh, she called it rape.
she called it rape, and she basically said I was giving off signs. And
But like, what does that even mean? Like, because, you know, unless she's like pushing him and trying to kick him off, I don't know what signs she's talking about.
I have said no many times, like to people I've been on dates with, that
So have I. I've literally had girls say, I don't want to do this. I'm like, all right, and I back off. Like, but it's communication. Like, you actually have to talk.
you can't just let it happen and then say he did it and I said nothing, but I really didn't want to do it. And I'm not trying to like shame women, but
and see, this is another case because my theory about that is that she wanted more from him, and I think he just wanted sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it's his problem too, in the sense that he should have made it clear that he wasn't interested in like a relationship, but just wanted sex. And sometimes that would have probably told her, okay, well, I don't want to do this then. Let's, you know, just part ways.
But I also think the whole like you should have inferred that I wasn't into it because we started like watching TV is not fair. And I know there have been times where I have been with people that I was not 100% into, and you know, there might have been some like kissing and stuff, but like as soon as it got a little bit further, I'm like, yeah, I gotta go home, or like you have to. So I'm just wondering why women feel like they have to fold under the pressure to have sex, and that's what it sounds like. It's just like you're not folding under the pressure to have sex. If you don't want to have sex, like
Yeah, it just
It doesn't even sound like you were fearing for your life to not have sex.
No, I think
It
she really
sounds like,
liked him, and
yeah.
she thought, well, if I have sex with him, he'll want to date me or whatever it is. And with some guys, that's
That's what
not
this
how it
sounds like
works.
too.
Right. Well, yeah, and they start kind of like unraveling some of that.
To the same extent as men, we are not crime solvers, are we? You know, shit like that. So all of these, you can say, well, you know, it's basically him hyping up the case, or you can say like, yo, he's trying to paint a picture, or maybe he's just being accurate. Okay, agree. Unfortunately, nothing will happen. So basically, she's like, hey, nothing's gonna happen
Nothing
to
will
him. Well,
happen
everything happened
because
to him.
you
He lost
didn't
everything.
report it.
On the words of Azalea
God,
Lexi,
I'm so like
a
anti-feminist.
ex-girlfriend who, well, not even girlfriend, that was the problem. She never got the girlfriend status, and she became what you're about to see, a bitter person. The twit longer that canceled Rich Campbell, this is right here. He was canceled within like hours of this shit posting. Like he was done. OTK wanted him out. They drafted up the statement, and he was donezo. You know, these are more tweets. You know, he violated me, the twit longer. This is all.
And I will say this: this is the interesting thing about this particular case because, um, it like Asmon and the rest of OTK did not hesitate to either have Rich removed or like basically it's one of those we need you to resign type things. Like,
Yeah, because they don't want that hurting their brand too,
but
and that sucks.
but the problem is now they're in another legal battle outside of this with Miskiff and another guy because the other guy that Miskiff hung with and actually apparently kind of lied on behalf of a guy that raped or supposedly assaulted another girl. So Miskiff still has a job, you know. So it's very weird to me that they are kind of giving Miskiff a pass.
Maybe they are giving Miskiff a pass because of what they're seeing happening here, and
Maybe
they're thinking, shit. Well,
we fucked up.
Maybe Rich sues OTK next.
Well, that's one thing that I brought up. Like, I think Henry might point to it as well. We least in comments. I know I commented on this.
Look at how many times, like, let's go to Johnny Depp. Look what happened. Disney released him from his contract before anything was proven, and it's just because the sexual assault and grape word are so harsh that if you don't want to have that, but there's never been proof or anything, but before there was even a court case, they just released him. And Johnny Depp, like after everything, Disney
And
was
that's the problem. It happens a lot with men because, like, even when Depp won the defamation, even though Disney kind of cut out some of Amber's role in the last Aquaman movie, she still is in it. Like, she didn't lose. I mean, she left on her own. I mean, she may not have got any job offers, but the reality is, like, it wasn't like people were just firing her from projects. Like, Johnny Depp lost like the Harry Potter stuff and a lot of other stuff. So, and like
Pirates
when
of the Caribbean.
like even Azalea is like, yeah, he, you know, nothing will happen, but the reality is something did happen. He lost everything. Rick lost everything.
And he's self-employed. That's
Right.
another thing that is tough to understand when you build something from nothing. When you build something from nothing, literally streaming video games with your friends, and then you lose that, what do you put on your resume? Where do you get more sources of income? Hopefully he's okay.
Well, I'm sure he's doing okay.
I
But
mean,
I mean, at least in terms of, you
mhm.
know, still surviving. But you're right. I mean, I thought about it. Like, he, you know, he could have a complaint against Asma OTK because, like, they, you know, they asked me to leave when they didn't have all the facts.
Either that or maybe they asked him to leave publicly, but they were still giving him some back end.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that could be 100% what it was. And we watched that, reaction from Asmon. Like he was distraught.
Mm-hmm.
And but Asmon seemed to like feel like there was concrete proof. Do you have that video again, or
I have it somewhere, but yeah, I was telling Henry this in the chat that you know, Asman apparently had what he felt to be private messages that solidified the fact that he felt like the shit was true. But when you look at all the stuff that Rich is pulling up or Rich is coming up with, it kind of paints a whole different picture.
So then if then maybe what's her face, Alexi or whatever, needs to speak with those private messages. Or maybe those private messages were from her.
No, I think they
And a
were.
lot
I
of
think they
times
were.
it's very easy when you are playing a sad sack.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Go ahead. I'll
Is
watch some
evidence
more.
because you can't say,
I'm
"Hey,
in
she
support
tweeted
on
this and not show proof," and you're like, "Well, Henry showed proof." Yeah, I did because it's me and I'm on the internet. He was like, "Oh, this wasn't in there." Now, all of this is cool and dandy, but we're about to get to the good stuff. We're about to see parental advisory, guys. So cover your eyes if you're not of the age. You don't want to see this stuff. So we're about to get into some Mia Malkova stuff, right? Because if you remember in a lawsuit,
girlfriend.
Rich was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, she's going on my girlfriend's page and she's saying that her boyfriend is a rapist, knowing that that's my girlfriend." And that is defamation, according to
And that
Rich.
is 6 months
So
after
here
the fact.
is
Right.
6 months after the fact. You saw that. That was June
Mm-hmm.
of 23, and it happened in 2021, but she came clean in December of 22.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So like apparently maybe Rich didn't have a social media. Like he probably just went under the rug and she just wanted to target this chick.
Mhm.
So even then you can't even argue that it's reactionary. So like if it just happened and she happened to lash out. So
Yeah, that's
now
6
it's like
months
plotting.
now. Yeah,
Right.
it is plotting. You're right. Because I told you, I said, I understand when women get upset, they do really crazy things. You've seen it. I've seen it. I've done it myself. But like, this is now 2 years past the actual event
Yeah.
and 6 months after she went live on Twitter with her account. So, why, if she was literally assaulted in 2021, why was she not like doing this to other women who might have been with him saying your boyfriend is a rapist?
Right.
So let's.
You know what I'm saying? I know, brothers are starving. I know, all right. We don't need to focus on that. Twitter loves you and the fact that you have a boyfriend that raped people. Seems that you love that, and that's the girlfriend, Mia Malkova. This isn't evidence, so jury's gonna have to see this shit and make a decision. You got more rape allegations right here. Surprise, your boyfriend is a rapist. And look, she's replying to Mia Malkova. And she's like, "Look, I'm just trying to do my thing, and you harassing me, woman? What the hell?" Yeah, small enough for that dude who raped women, plural women. So remember, her name on her twit longer was Spicy White Claw. So this is no doubt coming from the account of Azalia Lexi. I don't know what her defense is going to be, but she's pretty much caught in 4K on basically 6/29/2023, saying her boyfriend is a rapist under Mia Malkova's whatchamacallit. Does this sound, are these actions in resemblance of someone who was raped? All right. Spicy White Claw again. And just for your rapist boyfriend. And look, remember, I think this Spicy White Claw, this Azalia Lexi, she may be like on some jealous shit or whatever, right?
That's what it
Some
sounds
jealous
like.
stuff. Your boyfriend is a rapist. Like, you see how she just keeps going on? And this was all in his lawsuit. It's like on this day, 6/29/2023.
6 months
it would
after
appear-
her tweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And she just was basically trolling at this point.
That's the thing that kind of gets me. I am not saying she wasn't. What I'm saying is she's not helping her case if she was. Because if she was, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
It's just a terrible look. And so.
And this is not going to
And
get
what
her
you did-
sympathy.
No, it isn't. And it's going to make your lawyer, it's going to make it harder for your lawyers to argue your case.
And again, back to, you're not filing criminal charges against someone. You are just going on Twitter calling someone a rapist.
Yeah.
So this person has never been accused or charged with sexual assault, right? He's never been
No.
accused or charged with it. So doing all of that, that's probably what's in the back of Rich's mind. He's like, I think he went into oblivion. You know, this is 6 months after the tweet, and he sees all this, and he was smart. He just screen captured all this, even if she wanted to try and delete it.
Yeah.
That she went to almost every new and old Mia Malkova post and put this shit out there. Now, if you Mia Malkova, you can say, hey, I had to delete the post or delete this, and it's causing issues, right? Causing issues. Now, ain't no nip slips or anything like that. It's the same thing. You go on Mia Malkova's stuff and you put this. And just for your grapist boyfriend, you know, she like, just for Twitter. And her response is, just for your grapist boyfriend. This is some shit. Is this how a grape victim acts? I don't know. Now, this is Belle Delphine. Shout out to Two Man. She did some collab with him. Two Man may be concerned. Yes, we had SEX, and I married Belle Delphine. And yes, we're adopting 15,000 Empress. Now, who else on there? And your boyfriend raped me. You see how it goes? you see how it goes? If he's a rapist, she should harass the guy.
She's like harassing.
But what if he's not though, Cheyenne? What if he's not a rapist? And she just continues to go on page after page and say, hey, your boyfriend raped me. Now this, if not true, is defamation, which he's not been charged with grape. And he never will, more than likely. Your boyfriend raped me. What? Think about this.
The other thing is like, it's so funny because this all happened in like one day. So it's not like she came back days after or a day after or like a month down the road and did it again. Like,
no, it's 6 months down the road and then started harassing because she realized that he's with her now. So now she's going to make her life a living hell.
Yeah.
So that bitch should probably sue too.
On his defamation thing, she's saying he raped me. You like, did he rape you? And she like, yeah, he raped me. Now the pics are interesting, but you know, it is what it is. They're both OnlyFans. One's more professional than the other. On another post, your boyfriend raped me. She can't even promote her OF without this girl harassing her and putting your boyfriend raped me. And they're both OF
Then
models.
she has to delete everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, hey, Rich, that crazy girl is doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, your boyfriend raped me. I do prawn. And your boyfriend raped me. You like, bitch. Like, bitch.
Pause right there. So she's replying. This post that Mia put up was May 14th, and she's posting on June 29th. So what happened was she heard that Mia is with Rich, and she decided to just troll the shit out of Mia on every single post that she did. And if you see the traction, not just like the likes, but the traction next to it where it shows the impressions, 1.5 million, she's going to have to delete all that because she's not going to get the impressions and the traction anymore. Which is also loss of income.
Well, that's probably why she screenshotted it all first and then probably went and deleted it. But like, that's the thing. Like, you know, in some ways, Azalea was like using this to get hits on her side too, just to show up. But the thing is, it's true. Like a lot of people are saying, Lexi didn't get what she wanted out of a relationship with Rich. So when she found out that Mia's with him, because I think they actually did like an interview with both Rich and Mia at one point, and that's when Mia mentioned like he has this fetish about getting me pregnant or whatever. And of course, Azalea said the same thing, which whether or not that's true, like him doing the same thing, I don't know. But if it's a fetish, maybe you did. But the reality is that she did do this when she found out that Mia was dating him. And I think that's what she wanted, yeah.
Why are you constantly on my goddamn page?
Exactly, but it's not constantly. It's the same day on old
Jesus. Tweets. Hey, can I sleep in your bed tonight? 17th. Yes or no? She posts this. Your June boyfriend raped me. You like, goddamn at this point. God damn. All the same day. She probably was drunk. or under some influence. He said when she get drunk, she get crazy. She get crazy. Important. Hey, your boyfriend's a rapist. Now, all these examples is like, bruh, you said that shit. Hey, your boyfriend raped me. You see how he keeps going? So this is evidence, but this ain't, you like, well, Henry, we kind of knew all this. Yeah, but what am I about to show you after this? Your boyfriend's a rapist. She just keeps going on
Well,
this
show me,
tirade.
show me.
Your boyfriend's a rapist. Like, hey, look,
Well, I'm
bitch, I'm
glad
trying
that
to
he has
promote
all
OnlyFans.
that
What are you
because you know
doing?
it's all
And sometimes what they do
now because it'll hurt
is
Mia.
she's going on these old posts because she gets so many notifications. But this shows that Mia Malkova, or you know what it was? She spammed the replies. So because she spammed the replies, you open up Twitter and you like, damn, I got 20 replies. Who they from? Oh, Spicy White Claw, Azalea Lexi. What'd she say? Sugar mommy for your rapist boyfriend? Like, this is wild. This is wild shit. You can't promote your shit without the ex just coming out the woodwork. And I think it could be some jealousy. I think it's some jealousy behind this. Safe for your rapist boyfriend? Like, damn, man. Like, Jesus. Oops. Let that slip through. Your rapist boyfriend is your prawn addiction. Nothing here except my.
See, it's so fucking weird because just the terminology is like, it's like she hates Mia. And her hate should be at Rich if he really did rape her, but she's like targeting another woman that has nothing to do with that.
And nothing to do with the assault.
Right. And so it's just, this is not a good look. So I don't know. Maybe Mia might sue her. I don't know.
Because again, Mia
Rapist
is she is self-employed with I know people.
I mean, you can tell though that Mia, whenever she posts anything, she's getting thousands more likes than Azalea.
But what I'm saying though, again, everybody just kind of like rolls their eyes at OnlyFans and rolls their eyes at streamers and rolls their eyes at gamers, but that is a self-employed person. It is their own small business. So like you're doing this, it's affecting their business.
His boyfriend is seen. Like, and shout out to Mia Malkova. She didn't even respond. She just screenshot it, probably sent it to him. Look at my, you know what I'm saying, though. For my rapist boyfriend. It's over and over. And this is submitted to the court. And I don't know how I missed that, but it is what it is. And I think this is the last one. Netflix and your rapist boyfriend. This seems like a scorned, jilted ex-girlfriend.
And
someone who
knew,
never became.
Like, maybe Rich knew how crazy that Alexis, is that her name?
Azalea.
Yeah. So maybe he knew how crazy she was. That's why he didn't respond, because then
might be why he didn't want to like have a relationship with her.
But I'm just saying maybe that's why he didn't even attempt to respond, because she has her own little minions too, and she would potentially spam him, and he knew how that.
Well, no, they would have. But you nailed it on the head earlier. It's like if he tried to like defend himself publicly on social media, it just opens the door for everybody, anyone. Like it would have been bigger news. Like, see, the funny thing is, people have probably talked about this episode when it first happened, but because Rich wasn't putting content out, like there wasn't much to go on. So look at Vosh. Everybody was talking about Vosh, kept getting online, kept saying shit. People just go back on that. Rich didn't do any of that. So like there was nothing to anybody to grasp on. And I'm not sure Azalea, I don't think she does like those kind of videos. So he was smart. He just, he's like, I'm not going to fold into the public. I'm just going to get my ducks in a row and find out what it is I need to take care of.
That's probably the smart thing to do, because this all unfolded months after the.
Well, you tell me all the time, if I ever get in trouble with the law, just get a lawyer.
Yeah,
get lawyer. A lawyer. Yep, that's all you got to do.
Don't say anything. Just shush.
Not saying anything. The girlfriend, because remember, she wanted to be girlfriend status, and he was like, "No, you just jump off status." But the biggest update is this right here. This little piece of paper. This little piece of paper. You're like, well, what does this paper mean? This means that this is a real lawsuit. What is this? This is a proof of service of summons. You like, God damn, what does that mean? This means when you walk outside your door and they say, hey, are you Azalea Lexi? And she like, yeah, you've been served. That means his lawsuit is about to move forward. Okay. Where her lawsuit, where I checked, not so much. And what did she get? She got the summons, the complaint, the ADR, which is just a alternative dispute resolution, his cover sheet, and all the other stuff. Like she got all these tweets of her saying he's a rapist. All right. And you like, damn, when did this happen? This was filed January 29, 2024. They called her ass lacking. And it was, by personal service. They called her January 25th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Damn.
Look at one of
and
the
they called her
comments
ass
on
in
Henry's
Ohio.
thing.
In Ohio.
It's a
Now
real
I
like
blocked out the
fatal
address because I don't know if she lived there or
Yeah.
not. She's a flight attendant. She is the individual defendant. And look, what I found so funny about this is the guy who served her was
Is a
freaking
reverend.
Reverend Tony. Reverend Tony served her ass, okay? And he is not a and not a California process server where the lawsuit was filed. So they basically was like, hey, we hear she's in Ohio. We need someone near to serve her ass. Okay, so we find Reverend Tony. Reverend Tony. Now look, here's the thing, right? he writes everything down. Hey, I'm Reverend Tony. I served her up. And then he got to describe her ass. So she's 30. She's a female. She's white. She's about 5'9", 200 pounds. Brown hair, no beard, no glasses. Sincerely, Reverend
Oh my
Tony.
God.
This is
He
major,
said she
guys.
was
I don't think you
200
guys understand the
pounds.
significance
He
of
said
this.
that she was
But
200 pounds. That's what I'd be pissed off about.
Well, she is kind of a big girl.
But she's 5'9".
Well, right, but they want accuracy. So, like, I mean, he doesn't know for 100%, but that's
I'd be so pissed about that.
that's the most thing. The defamation coming right at you.
she has to respond to the defamation lawsuit. Okay? So as a result of her having to respond to it, she's going to have to get a lawyer, even though she had a lawyer draft up her lawsuit. But when I tell you this is so major, if not true, I hope he bankrupts her ass. And it teaches a cautionary tale to women false allegating. Now, I know the believe all women white knights is going to find that to be an unpopular opinion because what they won't do is pick a side. They will say, well, we'll see what happens when the courts happen. No, I'm going to share your opinion now. Now, when it comes to Jane Doe number 2, yeah, he probably did that shit, but it's not great. You mean to tell me after 4 years he raped you and it's no proof and all this other shit and you come out 10 months later? I don't know. I'm skeptical as fuck.
So who's Jane Doe number 2? Have they figured that out yet?
I'm not sure.
So maybe that's who contacted what's his face?
Asmon?
Yeah, thank you. And said this is what happened to me. But again, Jane Doe number 2, nowhere to be seen.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's interesting how this is going to play out, but on the surface, judging by what we've seen with her behavior, she has a very tough road ahead of her in terms of, the climb to avoid being sued, because I think he has a pretty solid case. Because really, it's funny because he wasn't even on social media, clearly, because I think she was trying to probably find his social.
She was probably trying to like goad him,
right?
And
or
she
her,
or
Mia,
but
yeah.
she couldn't find him, so she starts harassing her.
Right, and that's just shitty. I can't get on board with that, because that Mia may not have any idea
Of whatever happened. Yeah.
But anywho, that is the update. And since she was served on the 29th, on the 25th, we should have a response. We should have had a response by now. So for real,
they're doing court.
So
on
we'll
the
get her
19th of
response
April,
and we'll see what happens
So
if she gets a lawyer.
To be
But I'm
continued.
hoping he bankrupt her because it's seeming like it's not true now. She's like, no, it's true. I got proof.
Yeah, and as I said, you know, she thinks because she has a hotel receipt that's going to prove that she was raped. No, it proves you guys were there, but it does, you know, it doesn't prove he raped you. It could have proved that you had sex, but again, you can't prove that with a receipt from a hotel is not going to tell us anything.
This is why I am saying she has, even when she went on Twitter, she did not go to the cops.
Right.
She made these very public accusations, yet she did not go to the cops. Am I boring you?
No, I'm just getting tired. You know me, I got to work tomorrow and all that good shit. So,
No, he's gotta work.
but I do like talking about this stuff.
He's
So,
gotta work.
oh, why cry? So the next topic we got.
Okay, tell me about it.
All right,
I gotta
so
fix my hair though. I am not having a good hair day, and it's so soft though.
it's so soft.
So soft.
So Melanie Mac is a streamer, Christian gal,
Oh god. Bullshit.
gamer girl, whatever. And but during that Brenty Venti and Eliza Blue stuff is how
Oh,
I
shit.
kind of discovered her because they're all
Mm-hmm.
kind of in that same mold over there, the right. So you know, I kind of forgotten about her like after that episode of stuff, but she came out with a video the other day on her channel saying how she got banned from Twitch because as she's talking about her belief in Christian Jesus and everything, and you know, right
Is
now,
Twitch anti-Jesus? Is that what we're saying? Or
no, I think what you know the thing is with a lot of like Twitch and whatever, they are trying to give safe spaces for the LGBT community and people like that. So they will take things that people who are talking against it kind of seriously, but Asmongold and myself would agree that what she said wasn't deemed ban worthy. But the funny thing about what Melanie was going at, she basically said, like, you know, it's just my belief. The Bible says this about homosexuality and this and trans and whatever.
yeah, and
That
everybody is so like they're it's like a trigger reaction. They wanna like stop it. Don't say that because we have to love everyone, which we do, but
well, the thing is though, is that she
was
prefaced that
she like
comment.
saying anything like I'm gonna go out and destroy all
No,
homosexuals?
and that's the thing. She didn't like say anything
Exactly.
about violence or anything else, but it was just her beliefs.
That's her beliefs. My beliefs are different than her beliefs. I'm like, everybody do whatever the fuck they want to do. I am fully embracing as adults that we are allowed to make decisions, and who our sexual partners are, it should be part of those decisions. And I don't have a Christian faith. She does. That's fine. And I think you're right. Like, Twitch just is like, oh, she's talking
Well, she probably
bad.
got hammered after the comments because they're, you know, the thing about the left is that they're always looking to cancel people. So like whenever someone says something
And
that,
that's really not fair. Even like I said, it's not even my belief. I believe in homosexuality. Like,
well, I'm gonna say this, okay? So in this case, Melanie, what she said was not atrocious, but I have heard Melanie say other things in other streams she's done that are pretty nasty and derogatory.
so maybe they're punishing her for something else.
Maybe.
Okay.
But she prefaced her comments by saying, you know, I got to be careful what I say here. Of course, it still got her in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she gets banned, so she makes a video saying that's what she believes. The funny thing is, she doesn't really have proof that that's why she got banned. She just believes that's what got her banned.
What was the catalyst? Okay.
Because, you know, whenever YouTube or Twitch sends you the, you know, you've been suspended, they don't really tell you why. You should know about this with X. You got your account shut down.
My old account got shut down, and I'm like,
why? And they didn't even tell you.
No, and I at my old
you
account,
just broke the rules.
I did not, because maybe they thought I was a bot or something because I didn't really tweet on.
No, because the last post you had was about like the wedding, and that was it.
I usually.
So the only thing I could think of is that someone hacked your account.
No, because I looked through my account and there were no new posts. But,
yeah, but they would have deleted it.
I honestly, like, for me, I like had my Instagram account attached to my Twitter, which a lot of people do. And most of my Instagram photos are very, very benign. They're mostly of our cats and our rabbits. And if we have something fun happen, like we were at my cousin's wedding, and then like I just posted about my cousin's wedding and then picture of the cat, and it's like, your account has been terminated due to violations of
And it wasn't even like a temporary one. It's like you're just permanently banned.
and I responded going, please give me an explanation multiple times. And they're like, no, sorry, you're banned. And I can understand, like, for me, I really didn't give a shit. I started a new Twitter.
Right. Yeah. It was just really
so if
weird.
it was someone else who has a Twitter with hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, it would be a bad look.
So anyway, Asma responds to her little video about being banned, and he's talking about it. Now he agreed that she shouldn't have been banned. He thinks everyone should have the right to say what they want. He calls it, "I'd rather know who you are than who you are not."
Mm-hmm.
So that's his way of looking at it, no matter what side of the fence you're on. Like if you're just a crazy leftist, he wants to know. If you're a crazy righty,
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people, like, I'm very libertarian. So, like, but I see right now a lot of people who have conservative values and they say something not even mean, but just like, well, my beliefs are
well, the
from
problem
the
is
Bible, and I believe that men and women and no homosexuality, and they just say that. They don't say anything evil, and they're just saying something like that. The people on the conservative side seem to be getting a lot of hate, more so than the people on the left who are like, if you want to marry the Eiffel Tower, you can marry the Eiffel Tower. Like,
but see, I don't see it that way. I think they're both are pieces of crap. Both the extremists are crap.
well, I'm just saying, like, in this scenario, like in the online universe, I feel like people who are conservative, if they say something, and not even.
Well, let me put it to you this way. This is the easiest way I can explain it, right? So the left want to be able to call themselves any name they want. They want to be any gender they want. They want to be able to be trans, whatever.
And I'm okay with that.
Right. Now, the right does not want that. This is the crux of why the left are so angry at the right. It's probably not even so much that what Melanie said that was the problem, is that she represents everything that's wrong with the right, because it's their religion that they're trying to use to disallow the left, people on the left, to do what they want to
But
do.
religion doesn't disallow.
Well, it does in a sense, because they use it as like, well, God doesn't accept this, so you should not be gay. You should not change your sex. Now, personally, I'm a libertarian like you, and I believe in science. I don't even believe in God. So I believe in biology.
Oh,
but
look at you! You're really hitting my side. For the longest time, he's like, there might be a God, maybe not. There's something out there. But now he's like on my side. I am too. I'm science.
But
Space.
that's the thing. Like, I don't care either way. Like, you want to have your faith, great. But just don't
That's
come.
me
But don't
too.
come at me. Don't judge me.
That is
You
me
stay.
too.
You stay in your lane. Don't you fucking come over here with that nonsense. I grew up in a Christian home. Grew up in a fucking Christian schools. I saw the hypocrisy all throughout my life. And if they want to start jumping in that, like, PDF shit, well, there's plenty of churches that are moving priests from church to church.
Cheese pizza.
Yes. And so I don't want to fucking hear about, they're trying to like change these little kids into PDFs and all this other stuff.
I grew up in the Catholic Church. That is the cheese pizza capital of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you and I have had similar experiences. I was not any kind of assaulted or anything, and neither was he, but we saw things around us as we grew up. And sadly, the church that I went to, Sunday school, it was called catechism. So you went to church and you went to catechism multiple times a week. So I had to go to school and Catholic school simultaneously. There was multiple priests at that church who had been convicted, and it kind of like opens your eyes. You're like, I was so young and I never saw anything like that. And I was thankful, obviously, because the people who taught me were great and the friends that I made there were great. But I had that experience, but then so many other people did not have that experience. And it makes you upset because you're like, how is it that I can have a nice fond memory of like, oh, look, we're learning about God and we're having like fun and we're, coloring pictures of, Easter or whatever, but then there is a large portion of people who didn't get that they were actually abused.
Well, my biggest problem with like just Christians is that, like I said, you can have your faith if it gives you comfort, for yourself and how you feel about, life after death. Great. I don't like begrudge anybody with that. That's fine. But, they talk in like facts. Like they think that because they follow a book that was written by man, that
Written
somehow,
by multiple men and translated out of multiple languages.
right. And you have to think it's like, it didn't just fall out of the sky. And I know Asma makes this point too, is that it's not something that God just dropped out of the sky and said, hello, here's the rules. This is the faith. No, it doesn't work like that. It was written by men. Men are very creative and imaginative.
Look at how many times we've seen people say like, God is speaking to me, and then they start a cult and then they're torturing people, or look at the
Yeah, well,
extremists like fucking
religion is very perverted. I mean, even like the West Baptists, they say that their version of Christianity is the right one. So there's a lot of nuts out
and
there,
then there's
man. So it's
multiple
like,
versions of the Bible.
right. So it's like playing telephone with the fucking Bible. Starts out one thing and just ends up to
It's a
something
good thing
else.
that I learned Latin, because I'll go get like an OG version of the Bible and read it. Oh, is that available?
I don't know. Probably somewhere, I'm sure.
Because some of the oldest versions of the Bible were written 100% in Latin,
Right.
and Catholic Church,
And they probably hide some of that shit too.
Mhm.
The
and
conspiracy theories about
and
the
Catholic,
religion.
for the longest time, Catholic, mass was told in Latin. My Aunt Frances, who was not my mother's aunt, she was my grandmother's aunt. So what is that, like a third time? She was a great, wonderful lady. I liked her. I loved her very much. She passed away when I was, in my teens, and we would visit her every summer. But she was very Catholic as well. Go to mass every day, but I when I remember had to pick a language and I wanted to do, I don't know, French or whatever, and they didn't have any room for me, so they stuck me in Latin. And Aunt Frances said, I know Latin. And I'm like, oh, do you, Aunt Frances? And it was because of fucking Catholicism.
Well, anyway,
Let's get into Asmon.
Stay on point.
Yeah.
Here's Asmon responding to, because eventually Mac was talking about Asmon's response, so it's kind of like they're going back and forth here. But
so this girl got suspended on Twitch, and I reacted to it. And I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. It's kind of a long thing. But she was responding to what I was saying.
So, I know we
They're
saw the
Easter
clip
bunnies.
that you posted on your YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
And then we saw Asmongold come in and do his
Yeah.
thing and talk
I
about
did.
this. And
I did.
and
I
you
talked
put a
about
very
it.
nice response out on X,
Yes.
saying you don't have anything harsh to say about it.
Right.
And I thought this was really. I would just love for you to kind of talk about this experience and
Okay.
just in general.
Yeah, so basically I was multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube, because a lot of people are like, well, why don't you stream on YouTube now? Why don't you stream on Kick now? I already was.
here's just something else I was going to point out, because I was thinking about it the other day. Because you remember when I first, basically early on, brought you to my parents, and how you had the piercings, and Binky was kind of like giving you the rundown, like, God doesn't really like body piercings and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So I look at Melanie, she's got all these tattoos, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, if you're a Christian and you read the Bible, they
Yeah, in
specifically
Leviticus,
say
they say
you can't have that. I saw plenty of verses that says you're not supposed to have that. So that I find that fun.
And the funny thing is, all these people who spout out these things, I think I've read the Bible more than all of them, because of how many years I've gone through, maybe all of my schooling. You have to read so many chapters, and if you're learning about something else, or it's time for you to do the next like step in your religion,
Yeah.
and I don't think they've read it. I don't think they get it. Like, so if you are truly this hardcore right-leaning person who 100%, I don't like the picking and the choosing.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you
the
cannot
Christians are
pick
so good
and
at that.
choose.
They pervert and they twist
They
and they
use it.
change the narrative of the Bible to fit whatever agenda they want. And
The
that's the
Bible is
worst
fucking
thing.
brutal. Like, if
It
you've
is
ever read
brutal.
the Old Testament, like,
Yeah.
the Old Testament is fucking crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw that because I knew that she had some tattoos. I'm like, well, you're kind of condemning these other people, supposedly because God doesn't.
But don't pick and choose your beliefs, because if you're gonna believe that homosexuality is bad, so are tattoos, so are piercings, so is eating pork or any kind of bottom feeders, anything with hooves, or anything that
I think
eats-
she's vegetarian though, so I think
Okay.
she's covered that ground. But yeah, I thought that was a funny thing.
Was multi-streaming to all 3 platforms. Twitch gave me a 2-week ban. The other 2 platforms didn't do any.
Oh, that was the other thing too. Like initially when it happened, I thought she got banned permanently, but 2 weeks, like, I can understand her kind of be annoyed by that, but to be crying about 2-week ban is like nothing. Like some people have been banned like permanently from that.
like me from Twitter for nothing.
Right. For way less.
Anything.
Sounds about
so
right.
basically, before I started my stream, I just had a candid discussion that was involving the LGBT identities, things like that. And me being a Christian, I was sharing my perspective biblically around that. And because of that, Twitch didn't like it. Twitch called it hate speech, even though I did not call for any sort of violence. I didn't call for people to harass people or anything like that. It was
Facts.
just like, hey, this is what the Bible says. This is what I believe.
And I'm okay. I'm okay with you having your beliefs. Like, and she's not saying anything negative. Like, there are Christian groups who are like, we're Christian, we're gonna go beat up the homosexuals. Like, that's mean. If she was just giving her opinion, just saying, listen, I am a Christian and this is what I believe, and no hate to you guys, I'm just a Christian. That's a different story than using your Christianity as like your backbone to start some kind of evil, mean plot and go and destroy anyone who considers themselves part of the LGBTQ community.
Mhm.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
And if she wasn't, then
and
she
so
wasn't.
yeah, so that happened. Then Asmongold reacted to it. He built a giant straw man argument around it. And he got.
I don't think people that have opinions that are informed by 2,000-year-old books should have immunity from criticism for those opinions because they're based off of a 2,000-year-old book. If you're saying something and it's fucking stupid, I don't care if it's your religion or.
Trust me, it wasn't even saying anything really bad. It was just that the Bible doesn't agree with that lifestyle. Like I said, I we can go back after the segment, after this thing's done, I'll show you, but it wasn't anything harsh. But Asmon was him talking about how, like, he says the same shit I do. It's like, it's a book that was written so long ago, it's so archaic that
it also said that you were allowed to beat your woman with a stick that is not thicker than your thumb. So, I mean, like, it, and also remember,
pick and choose, man. Just pick and choose.
I love seeing like all of these abortion marches where they're like, life begins in the womb. But don't you remember, like, back in the Old Testament, God said you had to kill all of your first sons? So, like, God says.
Well, the biggest argument I can make, because like the Bible is all over the place, right? So it has so many different things that it says, and it doesn't help that the Christians go out there and they just kind of pick and choose
I'm reading the fucking Bible again. I haven't read it in a long time, and I'm highlighting shit.
One thing that isn't, like, not changed or anything is the 10 Commandments, and one of them is thou shalt not judge. It doesn't tell you thou shalt not judge except for when it comes to LBGT. It's like, that's a law. God's law, and these
I
people
think you
break
had
it.
different 10 commandments than I did.
Why?
There was no thou shalt not judge.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Maybe.
Let me look.
Look it up. Give me.
I mean, granted, I am old, but
Me
you know.
too. Look it up the Catholic 10 Commandments, because I'm
You're
telling you.
Catholic is different. Trust me. They're not. I'm not even in the same wavelength with Catholics.
But you're still Catholics are still Christians.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. All right, so here we go.
I am the Lord your God.
You shall have no other gods before me.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not make idols.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not take the name of Lord God, your God in vain.
Well, shit.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Fuck.
They kind of fucked that up. Well, at least when they
Sabbath is
start making,
actually Saturday.
if you're a 7-day Adventist, yep.
No, it's actually Saturday. I don't know how Sunday even happened. It's actually Saturday.
Well, that's how 7-day Adventist uses it. But anyway, honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You should not commit adultery. You should not steal.
Mm-hmm.
You should not bear false witness against your neighbor, and you shall not covet. So maybe it's not in there, but it's somewhere in the Bible it says you shouldn't be judging people. That's basically what it tells you. Either way, man, I can guarantee a lot of these fucking people that are Christians, they break those fucking commandments every fucking day.
Maybe it's under the Beatitudes.
The what?
Beatitudes.
What is that?
It's in the New Testament.
Oh, maybe.
Beatitudes. Beatitudes. Beatitudes.
It's been too long.
It must be.
There are a lot of
in
things
my
in almost
brain.
every single religion that are
The
fucking
guilt
stupid. I'm not
lives
saying
in
that
me.
she deserves to get banned. That's up to Twitch to decide.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, see, here's the thing. She didn't deserve to get banned, but here's the thing: is that Twitch is its own thing. They have their own rules.
Yeah,
It's their platform. They can do whatever the fuck they
they're
want.
on like a content. What do they call it? Like code of content or code of conduct. Blah
Well,
blah.
yeah,
blah.
but even if she didn't break it, if they feel like she was doing hate speech, all they have to say is like, "You were doing hate speech. We're gonna ban you."
And they
Which is what they
do
did.
pull the trigger because of that, because they don't want to be involved.
Because because what more likely happened is she wasn't really being watched by Twitch, but people probably saw it that were on the left or whatever and said start reporting her. That's probably
My
what happened.
feelings be hurting.
Yeah, so they got butthurt about it and then reported her and then she got suspended.
I hate this idea that somehow criticizing a person's religion is off limits. It is absolutely not off limits.
We
Yep.
criticize
Not to
people's
me.
fucking clothes. Like,
Well, no, but like it's funny because you remember, the Whatever podcast, right?
yeah.
So it's funny when I watch Brian like take these girls to task that he tries to like rile them up and insult them and everything because he, for whatever reason, he always invites these OnlyFans and porn stars on there. But so he'll sit there and he'll insult them like sarcastically, and then like I was telling you the other day, when Molly, who was a porn star, she says, "Yeah, I'm a born again Christian," and like he just didn't think it was funny. I thought it was hilarious, but he didn't think it was funny. And that's the thing. Like, I've run into this problem with Christians before. Like, the minute you start taking shots at their faith, or even just saying you don't believe in it, like they get really butthurt, like big time. And I'm with Asman. Like, if you were taking shots and you were criticizing people about their lifestyles or whatever, I'm gonna hit you hard with the facts on the religion, because religion is the bane of fucking existence. And it cracks me up that they get so fucking butthurt about it, dude. Like, if you're gonna dish it out, man, you better be able to take it.
Are you gonna tell this to your parents?
I've told it to them.
I'm sure you
And I
have.
think not
I
to
mean, if
any
they wanna
other
fucking
rational
watch
person.
this,
If
they
your
can watch
religion has things that are stupid in it, then do not expect anybody else to respect or care about
remember
that at
sometimes
all. You
telling my
can do
parents
whatever you
my-
want to
my
do.
opinions and telling them that I'm atheist, and my dad's like, la 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 la.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just in case.
But see, that's the funny thing. You just asked me if I would tell my parents. Well, yeah, I would tell them, but like today we just bought my dad a gift, which was like a religious book.
Yeah, it's an inspirational book. Like,
Because I know he would like it.
We respect their religion.
Yeah.
We respect their beliefs.
Well, I
and
respect that their faith. Like,
we respect their beliefs, and we respect that's what they want. But when we say we're atheists,
I'm not
we're
an atheist.
well,
I'm
you just said
agno-
you said you don't believe in God.
currently, yes.
Well, right now he's atheist. Most of the time he's agnostic.
Right.
I'm an atheist. I am like, you die, you are worm dirt, you die. There's nothing out there. Nothing is happening. There's nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, it's more like it. That's how it goes. That's why I'm just gonna cremate myself. I'm gonna be ash.
And him, he's a little bit more accepting. Like, I think I might be borderline agnostic because I want stuff. Anytime that there's evidence of life after death or any kind of supernatural thing, I want that. And it scares me, but I want it. Like, I want to see it. I want the answers. I want to see if this is possible.
Well,
But I haven't seen it for myself enough to give me proof. That's
yeah,
why
I mean,
I'm
there's
still,
people
that's
say
why
there's
I'm-
miracles every day, and I'm like, well, there's also a lot of shit that happens that you're saying if God really loves, why is he doing that?
I'm just talking about, like, give me a fucking ghost.
Oh yeah, well, but
Give-
no, but here's the other thing too, is like the reason why sometimes I'm agnostic is that like I can't prove that God doesn't exist, right? Like no one can, but people can't prove that he does either. So it's funny because that's why it's faith, it's not fact. So, but like Melanie talks as if it's fact. It's only fact to her because she has faith. But that's different. It's not really facts or proof of evidence of God being in existence. So when I say that, like, is there a possibility? Sure. But the onus isn't on me to prove to you that God doesn't exist. The onus is on you to prove me that he does. And you can't do that. No one ever has. And because I'm not the one out there saying, hey, you not need to believe in God, man. No, you can't do that. Like, that's not me. And yet these Christians are out there telling you have to believe in God. You have to be religious and you have to, like for the LGBT, you got to change your life around. They're the ones that try to prove or try to say that God is real, but you can't prove it. And the onus is on you to prove it. You just can't. I remember one time I was in one of my Christian schools that I was growing up in, and the teacher was talking about something. I made the mistake of asking him, like, well, if God created us, who created God? He got really mad about that comment.
That is a very intelligent question, though.
It is. It is. Like, and and I think that's why he was pissed because he had no answer for it. He says, "You just don't do that." I'm like, "Do what?" He says, "You don't ask that." I'm like, "Why?"
But I started, like, as I got older and, being a teenager, it's like, okay, Adam and Eve had some sons. So then how did they procreate? With
Oh, it's definitely incestuous.
Eve?
Yeah.
They had sex with their mommy,
Yeah, it's incestuous.
right?
It has to be. Yeah, there's no way to get around it.
And I asked that. I was obviously being a shithead teenager. And I'm like, so we've got Adam and Eve, and then we've got Cain, Abel, and who else? The other one.
What's the favorite one? It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Well, it's also Cain and his mommy. So like that was, and I did it because I was at that age where probably like 12, 13, where it's like teachers were probably like, they don't know how much you know because you're at that age. So I'm like, this is very interesting that they only had sons, but then they were like the beginning of creation. Where were the other girls?
They moved on to the sheep.
Yep.
You can think whatever you want to think, but the moment that you open your mouth and you start talking, don't be surprised when other people start doing the same thing. It is insane that people think that they can say
or if there's
something stupid. It doesn't matter what it is, and then use "it's my religion" as a defense.
Colossally ratioed on his clips channel. Last I checked, it was at like 300,000 views, and almost all the comments had my back from people, whether they agreed with me or didn't. They were like,
I think there's a lot of people that think that she shouldn't be banned, but they probably agree with what I think. That's what I think the reality is.
Yeah.
Because also, like, it's very easy to be like, yeah, like
I was looking through a lot of the comments, and a lot of people were saying that she didn't deserve to be banned, which is true. And Asmon said that in his original video. But nobody was really like challenging his opinion on like religion itself and like whether or not her comments were stupid as fuck. So reality is that she shouldn't have been banned. That's like the obvious, but it doesn't mean that they actually agree with her viewpoints in terms of like about the community itself.
Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, should she be banned? I don't really have strong feelings on whether she should be banned or not. She's just talking about her opinion. Like, so I'm not saying she should be banned, but like, I absolutely think that her position is fucking ridiculous and it shouldn't be taken seriously by anybody. She's basically saying that she's not a bigot. The Bible says it and she just believes it. Well, that's a terrible way of argumentation. You could use that based off of, well, yeah, it's like, yeah, Hitler said it, so I just believe it. I'm not a bigot, I'm just listening to him. Like, it's, what's really the, what is, like, look at the line of thinking here. What is this? It's not an argument. Yeah, it's just really not a very good argument, guys.
The
Don't we all have
argument
the right to free
isn't
speech?
more
Just like
about her beliefs. It's more about, do you think it's okay that right-wing conservative Christian people are allowed to be on a platform? And Asmon agrees. He's like, I don't think she should be banned. She can say whatever she wants. She's not spewing hate speech. When you start,
He's just arguing that you can challenge her on what she's saying,
and that's fine, and that's what she should expect as a person.
No, I think, and as we go on, I think she actually acknowledges that, you know, she has no issues with Asmon. She doesn't care that he disagrees with her. It's just that, you know, she kind of said he had a straw man argument, but he didn't. Like, him saying that he doesn't believe we should be taking advice or information from a 2,000-year-old book is actually accurate. Like, you know, and there's a reason why we have a separation of church and state. We should not be using any kind of law on human society. If you want to use it for your own moral standing, great, but that's not how we work in society.
And honestly, the whole separation of church and state was a big thing here in America because back in the day, back in England, you know, they used whatever religion was part of the whole, like, that was the law.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was you can come to America and you can have your beliefs and that's why I think there are so many different religions in America. Even still today, Ireland, Northern Ireland is very Protestant, which is Northern Ireland, the country, very Protestant. Ireland, the Republic, is very Catholic. And it's still, even in modern day, like, the rules about divorce and the rules about abortion are still very archaic. The big deal, like, you know, the Church of England was not what people wanted to believe. And when they came here, that's why you look at, like, you still have the Pennsylvania Dutch and the Amish believing in their old religions. You have Protestant, Methodist, Catholic, all spread all over the country. You've got Latter-day Saints, which was a very American. The Mormons, it's an American thing. Joseph Smith, it was American. We are free to have a religious belief. And even like in modern day England and the UK and Europe, yes, it is, you are free, but there's like the societal, like, this is how it should be. Now, part of that, I think, with us is because we have grown up, and you can be around here. There's like a Baptist, a Methodist, a Lutheran, Catholic. We've got Jehovah's Witnesses, like, all within a 3 square mile area. And I think for us, it's easy to really see a separation of church and state because all, like, 6 of those religions are very different. And you want your laws to be very different. And that was a beautiful thing about America. Anyway,
everyone else. I mean, we do have to listen to the LGBT side on things nowadays. Well, I think that you should have to listen to everybody, right? And you should have to, and you should not have to equally. But I dislike the idea that because somebody is religious, they have a free pass to have ridiculous and antiquated opinions about things that just frankly do not stand up in a free marketplace of ideas. They just don't. And I don't like the idea that because somebody's religion says something, that becomes okay. Antiquated to you? Bro, it literally says like,
You know, man, you said something about going down the wrong pipe. I started thinking of that dude that did the test where he was going to try to burp. He said, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Boom, it hits the fucking garage door.
I know, we're nerds.
doesn't it say like you shouldn't be allowed to work on Sunday? Like, think about all of the things that the Bible says that it's like, oh yeah, what about that? Oh, well, we don't talk about that anymore because you don't do it anymore. Yes, it's antiquated. It is. It's antiquated to reality.
Like some people who didn't agree with me were like, hey,
Yeah.
we may not agree with this, but she shouldn't be banned
Sure. Yeah, sure.
for her religious beliefs and for expressing her.
I don't think that. I think that if you're going to ban somebody based off of saying something bad, I don't think that saying something bad because it's your religion should make it acceptable. I don't like the logic that, well, if it's your religion, it's okay to have this opinion, but if it's not your religion, then it's not okay to have this opinion.
But
This is a
Asmon, let's get real. I'm on your side of the world. I think religion is what it is. We need to think about what this space is. It is Twitch. What is the code of conduct? What are the rules? That you shouldn't even put religion into it. And yeah, he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't be, you can't use the excuse." I don't think they're using that excuse. I think they're using the fact that she brought up
Well,
a hot topic.
I think she is using religion, and like I said, it goes back to how Christians generally react to whenever you challenge them on religion itself. Because
But I mean, like,
it's like if you say that Jesus is a fictional character, they get irate,
he is.
huh?
He is.
Right, but that's the thing. Like,
Zombie Jesus is coming up in a couple of weeks, so I can't wait.
It's a weird conundrum because in their minds, saying that something like that is very personal to them because religion is very personal to them. But they don't understand that for someone who's gay or trans or whatever, the things that they say to them is very personal to them. So if you're being very belligerent or saying things like God's going to send you to hell, that's very personal to these people. So it goes back and forth.
But that's what I'm saying. Everything you're saying is yes. What are the rules of etiquette? What is the code of conduct for Twitch? Like, she's talking about being banned, right?
Mm-hmm. She got banned because they say it was hate speech.
Okay, so that's what she needs to delve into. What is hate speech for her? And then go against someone else who might be talking about literally like shooting up a bunch of people. That's why I'm kind of like, I think everyone should be able to have a platform and be on whatever they want and talk about whatever they want. But if for her, if she literally was not saying, let's like blow up the gay people, that should not be a problem. She could talk about anything she wants.
No, I agree. But that's the problem is Twitch is going to protect the LBG community because they are kind of the minority. And, you know, in society right now, like, you'd have to be a fucking idiot to sit there and poke that bear. Like, it doesn't matter to me that Melanie has those beliefs. And it really doesn't matter to me that she got banned. It doesn't matter to me if she comes back. It doesn't matter. But the reality is she was a moron because she chose to go poke that bear. Especially because she prefaced it all by saying, I've got to be careful what I say here. She already fucking knew she was going to go down a dangerous path. She should not have been a surprise.
I mean, but why
that she
should
got
she
banned.
be banned just because she's like, oh, I believe men and women belong together? Like, why should she be banned for saying that versus like someone else?
She shouldn't be
saying,
technically,
why?
but you go into a space, any platform, Twitter or whatever, YouTube, whatever, YouTube and Kick.
And just FYI, I'm not like defending Melanie. I'm just saying, why?
No, it's fine if you
should
do.
Anybody be banned for saying something as long as you're not like
every person, Asmon, me, you, we all say that she should not have been banned. That's not even the issue here. The issue is that this isn't the real world. You have to be in reality. It's their platform. They can ban you for whatever the fuck they want.
That's
It doesn't have to
true.
be anything.
And her defense shouldn't be, oh, it's my religion. Her defense should be like, show me where I broke the code of conduct or
Right.
the code of etiquette.
Right. And that's what she does, kind of explain some of that. She says, I didn't say hurt them. I didn't say like, they need to die or anything like that.
She just said, this is what I believe, and that's it.
But she also had to know that the minute she started like even going down that path, like you're picking a fight with this other community. That's what you're doing. You're just picking a fight with them because you don't agree with them. And that's, that's your prerogative, but there's consequences. We all know that whenever you say shit, there's consequences. We are in a woke world. So
people are really, really woke, and
you have to be careful with what you say.
I'm kind of woke myself. Like, I'm not uber woke, but I'm mini woke. But I feel like the uber woke is like turning it into this everybody, like, if you are not like running around with a rainbow flag nonstop, that means you don't respect the LBGT.
No, I mean the left has a lot of problems. Like the one of my biggest gripes with them is that if you don't agree with something on them, you're either a racist or a transphobe or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a joke. Like
for me,
it's lazy.
We are none of that. But like sometimes, like when we're talking like left politics, and it'll be like a Democrat talking about something, and I'm like, oh, I don't really agree with that. And if you say that, I don't agree with that, it's like, what are you? Why don't you? Oh my God.
What are you doing with your life?
And I'm like, I just don't think it's a great idea to allocate money in that manner, but I do still like gay people. Is that okay? Like, I just don't agree with like whatever they're talking about for whatever reason.
Well, remember, God loves everybody.
God does love everybody.
Oh, you believe in God now?
Yes.
Clear double standard, and it's completely illogical. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Religious beliefs. And so, yeah,
Somebody says faith is not logical. Well, that's the problem. That is the fundamental problem. And like, if faith isn't logical, then that's totally fine. But whenever your faith isn't logical, don't expect everybody else around you to also abandon their form of logic and their critical thinking. And in my opinion, the greatest gift that God gave people, the ability of metacognition, to think about thinking, to exist and acknowledge that existence. Do not fucking take that and say that people aren't able to do the exact same thing.
Though Asmongold did have a lot of negative things to say about my take and about me and all that kind of stuff. I didn't take it personal because I think ultimately I was more happy that he showed it and my message got out.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
No, and that's a lot of that's big kudos to Melanie, because like, she is a streamer that basically talks a lot about social and political stuff on her other streams. And so the fact that she knows that she's going to get like heat from things that she says, it's good that she's not taking it personally now. As far as getting it out there, sure, Osmond has a lot of followers and a lot of viewers, so whenever he talks about anything, it's going to be seen. But it's a matter of, I don't think it's going to change her ban any at all, if even though if they've seen it through him. But
what did I miss? I had to save a baby from fire.
Well, she basically just said that Aswan said some she felt was mean things about her, but she was like not hurt or offended by it. She just understands that that's the game. But she was happy that because as he was talking about it, other people were seeing her story or whatever is going on. So she's getting views and clicks based upon that.
And she likes the attention.
Right.
She looks like a person who likes attention.
Oh, she loves attention, dude. You should see, if you just do like a photo search, she's got like all the selfies. Like, I've never seen a Christian really act like that, but that's interesting.
Isn't that idolizing yourself?
Maybe vain.
It's one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, right.
I gotta
Vanity.
pull out my old Bible. I'm ready to
That's
read.
how I took it. It was like, I would rather people hear me out
Sure.
and disagree with me than not even hear me out at all. And so it's like, okay, he played it.
No, I agree with her. No, this is the right mindset to have. She's actually right. Yeah, this is totally fair.
Let me say what I said. He said what he said. He's allowed to disagree. I think that
Yeah,
he
that's
was
reasonable.
being unreasonable, but it's fine. I don't expect everybody to agree with me, and he can disagree with me. I'm not going to have an issue with that. And so that's why I made the statement that I did about him. I was like, I don't have anything mean to say about him. I wasn't ever mad at him for making that. I was glad that he did. So it's all good to me. And I don't give a crap about Twitch. Some people are celebrating and like, yay, oh, okay, now you're gonna have to start an OnlyFans, and it's just a joke. Like, Twitch was my lowest revenue source, and I wasn't even streaming on there for the longest time. And I was like, oh, they allow multi-streaming now, might as well multi-stream there. So I don't give a crap like that. I made a clip and tagged Twitch on it, and I was like, you're gonna have to ban me longer than that. And then I dropped my favorite word. So it's like, go ahead, perma ban me. I don't give a crap. I don't need Twitch. Twitch is a dying platform anyway. So hey, that's just what it is.
Do you feel?
Oh god.
I mean, it probably will be because of, you know, some of the bigger streams like XQC and them, even though they're still kind of streaming on Twitch. So like basically when XQC left for Kick, one of the deals was, can he still
Multi-stream.
right? And a lot of them are doing that. But the other thing is Twitch isn't giving out contracts anymore.
That's right.
That's why Pokimane bolted. So she might have bolted for other reasons too, but the reality is like they're just not doing the same things they used to because it's too costly, I guess. But with Kick out there and people going to YouTube,
People are going to YouTube. People are going to Facebook. Like, look, Facebook is 100% free to stream from, and
yeah, but a lot of people don't use that. Like YouTube's probably the biggest one.
Facebook is very famous for kicking people off just for
You're right.
midstream for whatever reason.
Just looking at it wrong.
Yeah, but this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about Rich, and you just kind of opened my eyes. Like, he probably had a contract with Twitch, with YouTube, with any of them, which he could prove that he had a contract and say, so this is all, it all ties together.
If you make fun of Islam, maybe Christianity needs more lunatics. That's the solution.
There's plenty.
They got plenty of lunatics.
Yeah, like
already.
remember the Crusades? Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that
I want to talk about that.
Like, we're still talking about that now. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, no, I mean, but really, like, that's the truth. No, because you're definitely right. You're right. Like, people like
that is how Christianity got spread so far, and then the ministries. That's how these people thought they were helping these native islanders.
Yeah.
To make them not so native and teach them Christianity. God. I told you, from sailing, I knew Dick before I started sailing about the Philippines. And Filipino people are really sweet people. They're awesome. And what I learned was I started kind of doing some research about the Philippines, and the reason that the Philippines are kind of how they are is they have been taken over by so many people so many times, like the Spanish. That's why a lot of them have Hispanic names, even though they're Filipino, which is Southeast Asian. That is a perfect example of some kind of like anthropologist there. I got an anthropologist would do. I'm sure there's someone who has like deep research of the Philippines to see how they have, because you wouldn't, it's Asian, but they're a very Catholic like community. There is no divorce. There is no abortion. There is nothing, because of, which is another like Crusades, Christian ministries. They don't hold on to their old beliefs anymore. And this is not that long ago. I was reading books about the Philippines in the early 1900s, and they were kind of like native, where they were just kind of like running around and doing whatever. And all these influences came in because of where they are. It's very strategic, and They got all these outside influences, and now they are all Catholic. Now it's crazy.
Message you, if you say bad shit about, like, especially Islam and other religions, they will be on you. Absolutely. Christians don't have that same type of energy, and so people make fun of them. That's true.
I think that's one reason why there is such a huge pushback against Christianity in general, is because here we have a book, like a guideline with a moral code in it. And people are all about subjective morality right now. They want to choose their own moral values, and there's a slippery slope that comes with that, because if you're making yourself your own God, and when you just place your moral values on, oh well, this is what I believe, and you can't expect everybody to agree with you on that. And this is,
I mean, the Bible that we have was picked out by a bunch of random people, right? Like hundreds of years ago. It's not like the Bible was written by God. Like, unless you look at the red text, the text that Jesus wrote, or, you know, was at least said that this is what somebody else said that somebody else wrote that Jesus said, excuse me.
Hearsay.
The reality is, like, the Bible, I think, is crafted in a very specific way to inform certain types of realities and to reinforce existing worlds, existing society. And they've done this, like, multiple times. The Nicene Council, yes. That's, I think, the most recent one. You're right, but she isn't wrong on this point. I actually think that she is. I disagree that subjective morality I don't think that objective morality is, like, religion does not have a monopoly on that.
Agreed. And the reason why I say that is I make the same approach to that as I do, like, feminism. So I knew at a very young age that, you know, you can be kind to people, that you can be kind to women and you know, support women. And that was before I even know what feminism was. So it isn't like I all of a sudden got indoctrinated into feminist ideology and said, oh yeah, you got to treat women well, I just got to be nice to them. It's just a matter of your personality as an individual. If you're, you know, let's take Melanie. Like, I'm not saying this is her, but let's just say that if she wasn't a Christian and she never knew anything about, like, or even had any kind of moral code, because there's a lot of people out there that are kind of people that aren't even Christians. Like, you're basically saying that anyone who is not Christian doesn't have a good moral code. That's ridiculous. It's a bad faith argument. And so, like, but if she wasn't a Christian, like, what would she be doing? Like, would she just fuck anybody? Like, but that's more of a personal thing. It's not like that's something that's taught to her. You know, it's like she feels like the Bible is like this guideline for everybody, but it's not, because most of the people in America don't do that. Or at least half.
At least half.
Well, there's a lot of Christians in America, but the reality is like I said, like, you know, it wasn't like I was taught like this moral code. Like, I barely even listen. You know me, I had ADHD. I barely listen to anything from schools anyway. So it's like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be nice to people. Like, you just do it because that's how your personality is.
You do it because it's the right thing. You do it because you want to be kind. And for me,
yeah, it wasn't like I just walked up one day and as a kid and said punch somebody in the face. Like, that wasn't like anything that crossed my mind, you know.
Well, let's just you know, flip the switch. Like, Jesus, you know, he hung out with the poor, he hung out with prostitutes, he hung out with, you know, the dregs of society. Do you really think that Jesus would you know, hate homosexuals? Do you think that? No, because he's Jesus. He loves everybody. He's like, you are my brother. You are my brother.
I mean, I don't mean to be like nitpicky, but like in every portrait that we've ever seen of Christ, he's like white.
And he's not white.
He's not white.
He's definitely not white.
Right, so,
if he's in Jerusalem, he's not white.
Exactly. And
he's
so,
like,
that's the funny
brown.
thing. Like, again, Christians like to twist things into like their own image, and like, you're not supposed to do that.
I mean, if he's really from the area that he says he is, then
Right.
he's definitely like a tan, brown, dark-haired, dark-eyed color. But they show Jesus as this white-skinned
You're
man,
a white boy.
with blue eyes and like
Play that funky
almost,
music.
almost blonde hair, and I'm like, again, that's something that I kind of discovered as I got older. And they're talking about like Jerusalem and Palestine and like the area where Jesus is supposedly had been. And I'm like, Jesus is definitely not white. But again, regardless of what Jesus' supposed color could be, Jesus,
I
everything
mean,
you
I'm not going
read
to get into the whole argument with like, Israel and Palestine, but like, we protect Israel because it's a small country, but then like it's also the home of supposedly of Christ. So
Mhm.
that's done for religious purposes. So that's to me, that's kind of like crossing some lines.
But also Israel is also a very powerful ally too. But
It is, but like I've said this before, I'm not picking any sides in that war, but like I know in the past that whenever there was ceasefires,
let me tell you something. Israel has already won. I know Palestine did like the whole like sneak attack and killed a lot of people.
they do it all the time.
They do it all the time, but then Israel retaliates and
No,
then,
no.
like destroys.
Israel does it all the time too. Like
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to say is like I've seen in the past where ceasefires were called from America on these two,
and
then fucking Israel just sends a missile over and starts another fucking engagement. if you
and
will.
right now with this is not me giving any kind of like side on either one, but what we're seeing right now is, yes, Palestine was the instigator, but then Israel was like laying down the fucking hammer, and Palestine is in ruins right now.
No, but see, I'm with you on that. Like, if you're gonna go pick a fight with a bear, this is the same thing with her and the LGBT communities. Like, it's not war really per se, but like you're gonna pick a fight with somebody, you better hope you beat their ass, because if you don't, you're fucked.
Yeah, but Israel's not letting up at all.
No,
it's insane.
But you know what? They do it because America backs them.
But America just dropped off some
It's-
secret aid to Palestine. Shh,
Don't tell anybody.
they did.
Actually,
That's
very
like Biden.
easy to
It is.
ethically and logically determine whether something is good or bad.
Aid, but
And there are very easy ways of doing that. I mean, the ancient Greeks figured this out.
is that Lara Croft back
One
there?
reason why I
Yeah, I think so.
absolutely love being a Christian is that I can say, look, I'm getting my moral values from the Bible, not my own opinions. Because if I were to make
I get
up
my
my
moral
own moral
values from my
values,
own opinion.
would they be exactly like the Bible?
I think that with a lot of people, most people don't actually get their moral values from the Bible. They get some of their moral values from the Bible. And there are other things that the Bible says that you should do that they don't do. So, like, as soon as you do some things and you don't do other things, I think that at that point,
And that's when
like, you're
people start
clearly
saying
starting
you're a
to
hypocrite, right?
dive.
Well, I
So
don't.
if she's saying like I get my moral values from the Bible, but then I have 2 arm sleeves full of tattoos, so it's like, yeah, you're kind of a hypocrite, because if you are gonna go like, again, I am not saying this is the right thing, but you saw the religious extremists that we've seen that have their own little compounds. We've
Mhm.
seen many documentaries on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are going word for word from the Bible. I think that, yes, honestly, I think it's okay to pick the good things out of the Bible and believe in, because there are lovely things in the Bible that you can take from it. Like you can take, some nice proverbs and some
Well, there's some lovely
songs.
things in the Satanic Bible.
But
Well,
that's what I mean. Like it's just because you say you believe in the Bible but with her, she's like, I believe in the Bible. The Bible is where I get my moral code. So if that's where you get your moral code and this is the hill you're dying on, then are you dying on, like, Leviticus is actually removed from a lot of Bibles now, believe it or not. I bet you I have it in my Bible from back in 1992. But
Okay, so they're basically again picking and choosing what they want.
Exactly. And I honestly think that's okay. Like if you want
I
to,
don't.
for me as a person living and existing, if you want some inspiration and you read an inspirational quote from the Bible, that's fine. But if you're her and she's saying the Bible is my moral code, no, I don't think that's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that like you shouldn't be removing anything just because you don't like what it says. Uh and if that's the reason why they're doing it, I don't know. But the thing is, like again, like you pointed out, she has tattoos all over her body. So like that's something that is not that's something that's frowned upon by Christ and God. So
Well, in Leviticus that's Jesus Christ. Sorry, Jesus. Sorry. Said the JC word.
who cares?
but-
Christ.
So Leviticus is where all the evil things are kind of laid out, if you think about it. And
So it's convenience.
but that's where they talk about the tattoos.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Like,
is,
you know,
this is the
don't-
problem with Christianity is they do this.
So you're saying I don't believe in homosexuality, but I believe in tattoos. Now, for me, who doesn't believe in anything, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice little saying. Oh, with women, all things are possible. Yeah, I can take a nice little saying like that and use it in my brain. But for her, who is standing on the hill that the Bible is the be all, stand all, and end all, but you have tattoos. That is in the same passage as talking about homosexuality.
Yeah.
Verge from I just get my morality from the Bible. But I know that there's a lot of people that think they aren't. And if everybody that was in control got their morality from the Bible, that sin might just be against the law. I think that right now this is a big issue that a lot of religious people feel like they're being.
Well, I don't care what they are because, like, again, if she's some like side Christian, like, you know, she has her own, like, again, this is where they're picking and choosing what they want to take out of the Bible.
No, what I mean is we were looking at books today, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look, this book, I wish it wasn't so Christian because it was like a nice, like daily inspirational thing. She's an inspirational novella person. She takes the excerpts that they put in these inspirational daily devotionals, and that's what she calls her Bible. I don't think
that's what she's referring
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
She would have specified that.
I don't know. I don't think she understands the Bible the way she's acting like she understands the Bible.
Well, she doesn't understand the Bible. None of them do. That's what I've been saying. They look at the Bible and they try to use it as some sort of tool to judge other people, but then they don't even follow it themselves and then they start saying, well, that was like Old Testament shit or this and this. Well, but you can't use it as a moral code because that's the code. This is all fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. The book is the code.
Well, that's the other thing too. So like
the book is law.
Christians believe in the New Testament. Jewish people do not. Jewish people are firm in the Old Testament. And
it's all in there. It's the same fucking book.
No, they're two separate books, Old Testament, New Testament.
But they're together. That's what I'm saying.
But they're not always together. So with her,
that's inconsistent. That's leaving shit out.
But if you're Jewish, you don't believe in the New Testament. Why would you read it?
I think you're missing my entire.
I'm not missing your point. What I'm saying about her is, I feel like
it doesn't matter if she's only listening or reading one part of it.
I think she's just reading the New Testament.
And that's incorrect. That's not the entire fucking Bible. That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't just pick and choose which one you want to deal with because you can agree with it.
The New Testament is also very friendlier than the Old Testament.
Of course it is.
A lot of people prefer the New Testament than the Old Testament
because they don't want to live by the fucking rules.
They don't want to listen to the horrors of the Old Testament. Read it. It's horrible. But honestly, I just wonder with her, and you know, she's young, and I'm hoping that maybe she just has these beliefs and they're kind of like,
I don't know. You need to spend a day watching some of her other videos.
Yeah.
Like this is like tame compared to some of the shit
I'm going to finish washing laundry tonight like a good trad wife I am.
She's on a channel called Melanie Matt Goes Boom.
Oh, gotta fix my hair.
Uh,
My hair bad.
they're
today.
being marginalized and they're being made fun of, and their culture is being removed by the modernity of society, right? Society is becoming more and more modern. And as society has become more and more modern, religion has become more and more antiquated. And I think that really you're seeing now, especially with things like AI, you're seeing people actually, return to religion. And I think that you're seeing a rise in religion. But I think this rise is primarily reactionary. And it's mainly not even a promotion of the religion. It's more a refutation of what our current life is and how different it is than like the way that you're supposed to live, So that's what I think. I think that people are overly defensive against this. And like religious people are used to being kind of criticized and shit on. But I think that there are some instances where religion is genuinely wrong. And I think that people are taking a...
Well, if you somebody that's ever lived through the 80s and a satanic panic, there's a reason why people shit on fucking religion. A big reason why.
I mean, there's lots of reasons that you see. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Like, think of all the crazy things that have happened in the name of religion. Like, people start beginning to not trust religion. I mean, 9/11 was in the name of religion. Not Christian religion, but...
Oh, I've said it before. Religion is like one of the biggest catalysts for wars across
Mhm.
the world. Like, it just is. And that's sad. Like, they always try to make it into something else, but it's always religion that plays a big part in it.
Mhm.
Position on this that isn't really informed by any sort of like thinking necessarily. It's reactionary from everybody shitting on Christianity. I'm going to start actually like supporting it now. What modern religion is it then? Well, consumerism, really. I mean, that's the real modern religion is consumerism. Modernity is beating morality into modern Christianity. We'll say after church crowd at restaurants are one of the worst groups to deal with. Well, it depends on who it is, right? But yeah, I think that's the reason why a lot of people were upset about what I said, is that like I think I have probably...
Well, they were upset, Asmon, because initially you said that she needed to be shipped off to ISIS. He said that in his last video that because of her belief system that she just because it was so outdated that she needed to be shipped over to ISIS. That's why a lot of people took
That's
issue.
bad enough. Like,
Yeah, that was a big L on his part. He shouldn't have said that. That was terrible.
I try to at least have a nuanced perspective with like religion. I don't think it's like all bad. I don't think it's all good either. But I do think that I do think that ideas can be bad and ideas can be good. I don't like the idea of like subjective good and bad. Like if you want to apply good and bad, which you don't have to because they don't really exist. This is a value judgment. But I think that the truth of that value judgment is extremely simple. It is extremely simple, and most people work backwards to justify bad things that they're doing. Because I think that determining whether something is good or bad, or good or evil, is extremely simple.
No, but I know that God knows more than I know. And so that gives me comfort in all that. And that is something that I think has helped society in the past, when it's like, hey, look, we have concrete morals right here. And it's not up for, there's not all this subjectivity around it. And
Well, apparently there is. You got body art. So
this is my truth and your truth and this and that. It's like, okay, hey guys, we've got it all here. It's
no, that's where you're incorrect. Like, again, she talks in facts, but it's just faith. The Bible does not prove that God exists. That's a bullshit statement, straight up. If I pulled out a book and it was just some random shit about deities and everything else, it doesn't mean that those deities actually exist. It's
Scientology was based on fiction books. So, like,
L. Ron Hubbard, baby. Yeah, I mean, it is funny because, like, again, like this is what drives me nuts about them, because she's trying to talk in absolutes, like God definitely exists. We have the proof right here, but no, it's not proof, hon. That was written by man. Didn't just drop out of his ass.
Concrete. And
Well, I don't necessarily think that it is really all there, especially with things like as technology evolves, like you're going to get to a point where religion can't answer every question in modern technology. And that's where you need to have
Modern
philosophy
science,
and you
too.
need to have actual
the
like
whole thing
logical
that happened
ethics.
with my mother, like I when my mom went into the coma, I did what I thought she would want, which is have a priest come pray over her. And because my mother pulled
That's
out,
because they're religious. so.
yes, I did it because I respect my mother's religion, because I know that is what she would have wanted. Yes, my mother came out of the coma. But is that because the priest came and sprinkled holy water on her? And I specifically said, I am not looking for last rites from this priest, because like we're very Catholic, so I'm like, I do not want last rites. I don't want that. I want a prayer, just a healing prayer, because that's what she would want. They did the healing prayer,
But
and
see, your parents believe it was God that brought her back.
I
That's
believe that it was the
sheer
amazing
will.
medicine
Yeah.
and sheer will of my mother, because she is not 100% ready. 'Cause look at her now. She's still not,
Still fighting.
still fighting, because she wants to see her grandkids. She wants to see, she wants to retire.
And she didn't remember anything. So it's like,
The shit that she remembered was like stuff that she was dreaming about, and it was funny. Did I ever tell you the story
yeah, you
about
did.
me with the puppy?
Yeah.
And yeah, so like the shit she remembered was just because she was under the influence of so many drugs, which were necessary to help her get healthy.
Yeah.
And for me, like, my dad would get really upset because he felt like the doctors were being like doom and gloom.
They're just being realists.
I appreciate the realism. I appreciated that. But then,
I mean, imagine them telling them that, oh, yeah, she's great, man. And then she didn't make
and
it.
she's just like, intubated in a coma, like, oh yeah, everything will be all right, we'll get her out. Like, no, it's a dire situation. But the doctors, multiple nurses, multiple therapists, they all got her, and it took a long time. It took 6 months before she was really walking and dealing with things. I think that it is lovely when you have a faith that keeps you, because mental health is important too. So if your faith is keeping your mental health going, and when I told her that we had the priest come pray for her, she was so happy. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you do realize you've got like 10 of the top doctors working on you. And
I don't care if they have faith, but don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining by saying that the Bible is facts.
Mhm.
It's not fact. Never has been.
That allow you to make those decisions for yourself. And that's really what the issue is. Just so fake, what crowd is she catering to? I think that there's a lot of people that feel the same way that she does. And I think that a lot of those people were unhappy about like my take on the subject, because I said that, basically if she got what she wanted, the world would be a theocracy and she wouldn't be able to express herself in the same way that she is on this video. Like, that's basically what my assumption was. That was my argument. And I think that that is true. Is that if you want to make an argument for authority of religion, that argument doesn't have any boundaries. It's not like they're going to, and this is the thing, right? Is that everybody starts advocating for like this fantasy world that they used to live.
The Handmaid's
and also
Tale.
like a lot of people are like, oh, it was so good in the 90s. You're 29 years old. You were born in 1996. You don't even remember whenever September 11th happened. What do you mean the 90s? How do you know it was better in the 90s? You weren't even there.
Pretty awesome.
Society hates that because society wants to be able to do whatever they want, and they want to make up their own morality system.
So, Desiree came in yesterday with.
No, I just want to be able to be my own individual. I don't like the sheeple line of thinking where you just follow the crowd no matter what it is. So you and I have talked at length that like we're not into the woke shit either. We have friends that are gay. I've met some trans people that are very nice. But I agree in terms of science that if you're born a boy, you should be a boy, or if a girl, you should be a girl. But I'm also not going to lecture somebody about how they feel or whether
Yeah,
or
if
not
they
they
want
want
to
to.
change their sex, like
Just because we have the intellect and the science to do these things doesn't mean that's, in my belief, what should happen. But I'm not a
it's
big
not you're not them.
I'm not a god. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Mhm.
And government shouldn't tell you what to do.
No, you're not them. I'm not them.
There
If
should be
they want
some
to be able to do that, they
protections.
can do that.
Obviously, we don't want to I have issues with, in terms of like how early in the development some of this stuff takes
That's my
place.
big thing too. When you're under 18 and
Right.
there's that doctors are
You got to
so
still
willing
kind of mature
to
as a kid before you get to this point where you can
when
decide what you're
doctors
going
are
to
so
be.
willing to do all that stuff under 18,
It's scary.
that's where I get a little like queasy because I don't think it's in the right
It's not in the best interest.
yes, of anyone. But like if you're an adult and you're like, I don't feel like a boy anymore. I want to be a girl. We have the ability to do it now.
Now, to be fair, some of the Christians who have come out, like Bill, is it Matt Walsh and Candace Owens? Who I like Candace Owens. Walsh, we like the one thing, what is a woman thing, but the reality is that they use a lot of their belief systems with religion to
And try to trip them up, and
they try to like
Mhm.
condemn these people, and it's like it's all right to challenge it, but like what you're doing in the process, so you're hurting a lot of people along the way that aren't even like
they're not even part of it.
right. So that's my only issue, is like it's not me like trying to just decide my own moral ground. It's just that I'm my own individual. I don't want to be someone that just follows the next fad or whatever. That's just not
Okay,
what I do.
let's put it into perfect context. You as an individual have made a choice that you are not believing in God. You are not trans. You and I are married for a very long time, and that is what we have decided because that's our belief. But if there is another adult man who says, I want to be trans,
Mhm.
you're like, go for it. Like,
Yeah, knock yourself out. Don't give a shit.
because it's their individual choice.
And I will support them with any kind of human rights that we can get in society. That's just how it works. They're human beings. I don't care if I agree with their philosophy on life or what they want to be.
Because you may not want to be a girl, but he does. And you're like, okay, you be a girl. Go
Yep.
for it.
Yep.
Like,
knock your socks off, man. If you want to be Christian and go to church every Sunday,
have fun. Like, let's
go do it.
Piñatas, streamers, confetti. That's
just leave other people alone.
That's
man.
what you should be as people respecting people and adults respecting adults. If I had a friend come to me and they're like, yeah, I'm a Christian now, I'd be like, okay, I am happy that you, and I have. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the person, but I'll tell you off air, who is very Christian, but you wouldn't believe it, does not drink anymore either. And I'm like surprised, but not surprised, because like, okay, this is helping you and your marriage and your kids and your life, and this is very positive for you. So
yeah,
go for it.
With the super chat, where she more or less said it's the idea of you getting banned because you're spouting your religious beliefs. That slope is so unbelievably slippery.
That's
the idea
true.
that you coming on, like some would argue that people's identity have become their religion, right? And where does that line stop?
No, and I said it before. It's not a slippery slope because you are not entitled.
No. It's a slippery slope for her, because if she says something that is just benign, but she says, I'm a Christian, I believe in man and woman, then it can become hate speech. That's what he's saying. That's why he's saying it's a slippery slope. Like,
well, no, he didn't let me finish.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying it's not, because any platform, social platform, has the right to ban you for whatever fucking reason.
No, that is.
You're not entitled to say whatever you want. So I think you mentioned it earlier. I think the way she's gone about it is wrong. I agree with you because she should have challenged, like, show me where the hate speech is. Show me in your
Yeah,
fucking
show me your
TOS
your
what it
code of
is.
conduct.
Like, where was it that I said hate speech? Like, she didn't approach it that way. Now, maybe she did it privately. I don't know. But the reality is like trying to say that there's a slippery slope. It's not, because if they really felt like you did hate speech, and I guess this could be where it goes back to maybe they know her history. Maybe they've seen her other content to know that, like, oh, because she has been downright fucking nasty in the past on other videos.
All right, now I gotta. You said she's on YouTube as Melanie Mac.
Yeah, but you may have to go. You know, I mean, she usually tags them, whatever, and then you can go through. But she does talk about gaming, the woke stuff, which isn't as big deal. But she does at times get very degrading and nasty about it all. Which is her opinion, but again, like I know some of her history, so
Where's the slope? It's very simple, right? Like, and also like somebody's identity, every idea should be up for criticism. Every single idea. The moment that you tell people that they're not allowed to criticize an idea, that's whenever that idea becomes toxic. And it's only a matter of time. It might not start out that way, but it will turn into that.
But the problem really is, and yes, I agree with you, Asmon, but the problem really is when someone gets punished for saying one thing, but other people don't get punished for saying another thing. And
well, there's double standards.
Yeah.
And that, but again, that's come back to the reality of the society we're in right now, because until that time passes when the woke stuff kind of dies out, which it eventually will, because it's starting to kind of lose its grip now. Once it passes, then it's not going to be as much of a big deal. But do you remember in the 80s, religion was at all-time high, and the judgment of like heavy metal and its, you know, supposed influence on the youth and everything, that soon died out too, because once you just start switching over to stuff. So I think once the woke stuff starts quieting down, you're not going to have as much protection over it because people are just getting sick of it. They're sick of there's something going on right now with this that you were listening to when you came down earlier. It's like that something kid Inc. or something, whatever it was. I forget what it was, but they apparently are inserting their agenda stuff into the games. And there was somebody on Discord or on Steam who made a group saying, hey, I'm just letting you know these games here by this company are inserting like woke narratives into their games. So if you're not into that, these are the games to just stay away from. So, but that company saw that and they're trying to like get that group shut down because they feel like it's some sort of attacking of them or like their races. Again, the racist shit comes out whenever someone has a debate about something. It's like, if I want to go into a game, I don't want the woke shit either. So like I would like to know that information ahead of time.
I think I would too, because a lot of times I play games to just like disconnect.
Any kind of entertainment, movies, TV, music. I don't want to have to go in there and listen to a bunch of shit that I don't want to be preached to. I just want to be able to just log off my mind, enjoy the entertainment, and just have fun. Like, I don't care about your politics or your social standing in something. Like, I don't want to hear about it. Now, I don't have any control to make them stop doing that. They have the right to make. They're the ones putting the money up, so they can do whatever they want. But
you
I
have
would
the
like to know what
choice.
I'm getting in a
Yeah,
product.
you have the choice.
Right.
But as you as a consumer, if you are not knowing ahead of time when you purchase it, and then you purchase it and you spend your $80 on a new game, and you're like, this game is not what I thought it would be. Again,
it's actually happened to me.
it happens all the time. We buy a new video.
And it had nothing to do with woke either. It just turned out to be a game I just didn't care for. But
and it sucks. But like, if there is a group out there who are kind of like saying, okay, we know that this producer of games is kind of like pushing whatever. If you're not into that, don't buy these games. Yes, I can understand how the game company would be all up in arms, but just to put that out there for consumers, and you're like, okay, well, normally when I want to play games, I just want to like, cast spells and solve puzzles.
Right.
I don't need extra like philosophy thrown into it. That could be something, but this is my pulpit that I'm standing on. Why does everything have to have like a meaning? Like, why does everything have to have like a reason or a problem or an agenda? Like, my agenda in life is just like to be happy and chill, and my friends are all kinds of different friends. So
all over the spectrum.
I just want to love them and be
Yep.
cool with them. Just
And
because
that's why I say it comes down to the people, because you can find people who are religious, you can find people that are gay, you can find trans people that are some of the nastiest motherfuckers on the planet. But then you can find all the same group, people in the same groups that are the nicest, sweetest people in the world. We have friends that are Christian. They're beautiful people.
we have trans friends
Yeah.
who it came out of left field that we didn't even realize that they were trans, and they're like, yeah, my name is such and such now, and I'm like, that's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of took me by surprise because you were kind of macho, but now you're not.
Right.
So it's cool.
And we accepted that. Like, and there's no issue. Like, I'm not sitting there saying, oh, you're going to go to hell if you don't fucking repent now and come back to your
I don't
sense.
really believe in hell, so like I would never condemn someone to hell. But honestly, we don't hate anyone. Maybe Nazis.
I just hate hypocrites. Hypocrites.
Maybe the KKK. We hate Nazis. and
Well,
the
I hate
KKK.
Nazis, but I hate, people of color that are racist towards white too. I mean, I hate everybody. I'm an equal opportunity
He's an
hater.
equal opportunity hater.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've been living in Baltimore too long with me.
Right.
What do you got to say, Asmon?
You should be able to discuss and critically analyze every single idea that exists in the world. And if you can't do that, that idea will turn poisonous.
Based.
It doesn't matter whether it's religion, identity politics, normal politics, economic policy, a government. Think about one fucking exception of this. Can you? I personally can't.
Start, so they should be banned based off of their thoughts. But once again, it goes back to, where are these companies located? They're located in these bubbles in San Francisco, in LA, in this very.
He is right about this, that the morality that San Francisco has is not representative of the majority of the people that they serve. He's definitely right about that. That basically, because you would think that everybody, nobody says any of these bad words, right? The homophobic F word. If you go down to a basketball court, you're going to hear that within 5 minutes. You join a lobby in a video game, you're going to hear that in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So social media curates a complete distortion of what reality is. It's not as much different as it was whenever you guys were, we were all 14. It's really not.
Well, when you were 14, I was
very
35.
tight bubble that nothing can penetrate, and that's what you see. Then you see, girl in Middle America getting banned for spouting, her Christian beliefs, which once again, it shouldn't matter what you believe. It's but the fact that that's deemed as, what they say, hate speech.
It absolutely should matter what you believe. If you believe something stupid that's problematic and it's bad for other people, then it absolutely should be held up to criticism. The idea that it shouldn't matter what you believe is insane.
Asmond. We're not debating it shouldn't be held up to criticism, but should she be banned or in trouble is the question.
No, he still doesn't think she should be banned, but the reality is that he's saying that, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that if trans people and gay people want rights, human rights, and the right to change sex or whatever, they're not forcing Christians to do that by policy laws.
No, they're not.
But Christians,
the
want
Christians
policies,
are trying to make policy laws to
and that's why
ban
it's
them.
far more personal for them than it is Christian, because you're trying to use your faith as a way to stop them from doing what they want to do with their own lives, and that's problematic. Now you're gonna find some Christians here and there who are gonna say, like, I really don't care about that, but it's just gonna go back to that what age? Like that's the crux of some of their problems, right? And that makes sense because you and I agree on that particular part of it.
Yeah,
Like the hormone stuff and when they can go and like they shouldn't do it till like
yes,
even
as
like
as
we're
as
huge
as
fans
a
of Blair White. Like
43-year-old
she's a
woman,
conservative, so like
I
she
I
would
am
know,
I
right?
am going on my own personal hormones now because I'm going through a change of life that requires it. I I don't even know how it's affecting me yet because it's only been a few weeks. Can you imagine taking like a child who's maybe 12?
I wonder if Melanie and them give Blair such a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Because like Blair is staunchly a conservative. Like she's talked against the young because you and I watched some of her stuff. How she's agrees that starting at a young age is not a good idea. But because she is trans, I wonder how much of that shit they give her because like she's an ally. So are they hypocritical? They say, "Well, Blair, go Blair," like,
But
or
you're trans, so we
but
can't
the
take your
Bible
opinion.
says that's
Yeah.
our moral code. So
It's
it's
so
kind of
it's so bizarre because
yeah.
like Blair, conservative, intelligent woman,
Hmm.
made an adult decision
Hmm.
to transition.
Yeah.
And to me, that's okay. Like it really is okay. And she's also on our side too, like with the very young children getting
Right.
hormone treatments. Like
Hmm.
it's any kind of hormonal treatments are still very experimental, even when you're my age. I'm 43 and I'm taking hormones so that I don't hit menopause like a brick wall. It's not an exact science. They say it's bioidentical hormones, but everything that affects your body is different. Some people can eat peanut butter and some people eat peanut butter and they fucking die. Think about it. So, giving a kid hormones is not something I'm not ready to accept.
Right.
I will say that and I will 100%. But what you're saying, Blair is also conservative. She believes in God and she believes in, everybody. She's conservative.
Yeah.
And then she would have people like Melanie who are like, oh, well, you might be conservative, but you're
Yeah. Because
not on my side.
Melanie's quoting the Bible stuff.
Mhm.
So it's like, how do you feel about? Like, I'm really curious how she would that stance. You know what I mean?
I would too.
Of course, it should matter what you believe. It doesn't mean you don't have the right to believe it, but it means that everybody else has the right to disagree with you believing it. And again, all of this is not advocating for a ban. I think the best type of the best solution to hate speech, in my opinion, is free speech.
Yeah.
That's my perspective.
Mm-hmm. Get it out in the open.
Let them talk. It'll work itself out.
Yep. So true.
Yeah,
So
hate
true.
speech. And everything I was sharing, like you can pull those principles from the Bible. So it's like my religion is called hate speech to them, and that is just absurd to me. And speaking of Desiree, I just love her so much. Thank you, Desiree, for speaking out and defending me. I appreciate that. But yeah, and the thing is so many people want to come for me and say, oh, you're forcing your beliefs on everybody. These people who are saying that are the ones who want to force us to use their fake pronouns.
Well, yes and no. And it goes back to your religion, and what you want is trying to force policy to force these people to not be able to have rights, not be able
Your
to do this.
religion is forcing your
Now, when they
beliefs on
say,
them, and they're
it
forcing their pronouns on you. It's like
it's different though with that because like if let's say like I ran into this problem at work.
yeah, you told me you didn't even realize.
Right. So the person was transitioning. I thought he looked like a dude. He was a dude initially. I said, "Good night, bro," and then he's like, "No, no." And I was like, "Oh, so you're transitioning?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, well, sorry. I apologize."
Yeah.
For
What's
this.
your name? Like,
Right. And so if I would have said, like, I could have gotten into an argument and said, "Well, I'm not going to address you as a she," right? I could have just been a real dick about it. Now, one, I would have been in my right. There's no forcing anything. Like that person couldn't force me to call them a female. There's no law that tells me I have to do that. Now, my boss and the
But
person,
you're not a dick.
that's what I'm saying. Do I want the unnecessary drama of it all? Like to really be
If
that much of
that
an
person
asshole?
is transitioning and wants to be known as a she, you're gonna say
And
her.
here's the other thing. Like that person was very cool when I made the mistake. And then there was another one who came to help rescue me on my job. And I did similar to because I'm like from the 70s and 80s, so I'm kind of like an old school person. So I'm so used to saying thank you, sir. And this person also was a male going to female. And I did that. I said, thanks, sir. And then I go, and he didn't even say anything. And I said, I apologize. I know that, you're transitioning. I wanted to throw that out there. And she was like, okay, that's no problem. She understood. So it's not like every trans person is going to fucking freak out. And that's part of the problem that we have with social media and everything right now.
We get the extreme
You
reaction.
have those trans people out there that are actually trying to get these negative reactions so they
like
can
the
make
lady
content.
at the KFC.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's like Melanie's perception here is a lot different because she doesn't understand the difference between somebody just asking you to do this and Melanie doesn't have to address them anyway. Even if she feels like they're trying to force it, by law, she's not obligated to do that. But if you're trying to push for laws against
a
them,
different story.
right, it's far more serious. So you have to keep that in
And
context.
Note, we are not pushing for laws against them. We're saying that maybe Melanie is, but we are not.
Right. That's the point. That you have to make that distinction.
They're the ones that want to force us to let men in women's bathrooms.
There is truth to what she's saying.
That
That everybody wants to have control and people want to be able to do.
Now that I agree. Like I've been talking about this. I talked a little bit with Tony a little bit the other day with the bathroom stuff, because we're in like this new age of where people are changing sexes. We have to kind of think about the long game. So the short game is right now temporary. My best opinion is we have those like unisex bathrooms that are like single.
Yeah, you could give them a single locker room.
Correct.
Or
We
something.
we can make it now to where trans people can use stuff like that until we kind of navigate our way through this.
Granted, I know we want to be accepting and but like me as a woman, if there was a man who still had a penis and I'm changing in a locker room and we're all naked together and there's a big dick next to me, it would make me uncomfortable. However, most of the time women would be a little bit more sympathetic than men. So if there was like a woman to man transitioning, I think as
Just
people,
because that person has all the parts.
yes. So I think like what you're saying, if you had like a private locker room or a private changing area, and I know that kind of makes people feel excluded, but you kind of want to protect your other people too who feel
Well, yeah, and this is the
uneasy.
one area that I would agree with Melanie or anybody else is that we can't like, because we're still navigating all this, we can't just say, oh, we take the minority's word here and say, well, we have to look out and make sure they feel safe. Like, no,
I
you
dealt
can't
with this.
you can't disregard the other women that are actually women in that bathroom or locker room, because if they feel uncomfortable with somebody with a penis in there, they have that right.
We had two trans. One was female to male, one was male to female when I was teaching dance. Now, the women were much more accepting of the female to male because she was still technically a female. She had female parts. The male to female, the moms and all were a little bit leery, but we're nice. Like, I mean, you know how crazy moms can be. And the male to female would do the female dances and dress in the female part, but she would change in her own area. The female to male would change with the women. And this poses another kind of like question, is that right? Because the female to male changed with the women and the male to female changed by herself.
Trying to remember, I was trying to look it up. Oops. Uh, do you recall if Blair got bottom surgery or not?
She did.
She did.
Mhm.
Okay. Because I remember I couldn't remember, but like, so like in her case, she's fine. She looks like a woman. And this is one of the arguments I made regarding the competitive sports. So the big ordeal is, of course, Leah Thomas and the swimming stuff. And I said to myself, I was like, look, if someone's transitioning, that's fine. And there's probably not enough people to make your own trans team, like in any sport.
Mhm.
So what you would do, in my opinion, for the time being, is take someone like Leah Thomas, who's still very manly and still going through that transition, keep them in the men's competitive market until they've made the jump all the way through, like Blair. Because the reason I would say that is like, because by the time they get to that point, like, I don't know what Blair looked like before all the changes, but she's very feminine. You look at her, you see a woman. And so, it's easy for her to navigate and go into bathrooms and stuff because she looks like a woman. But others aren't like that. And if they haven't gotten all the surgery, then that makes it very uncomfortable for the women there. So,
I mean, I'll give you,
and vice versa, because if you have a boy
going
or
female
a
to male.
male to female,
Mhm.
or if you force them into a men's bathroom, that could be problematic. So,
And it's harder, like with dance, it's predominantly female. So like that's why, because this girl who is transitioning to be a boy had been with the girls for so long, that's why I think the moms felt comfortable with this person changing with the girls still. But this boy who is transitioning to be a girl had always had his own locker room because he was the only boy on the dance team, and now he's transitioning to be a girl. The moms did not feel as comfortable.
yeah,
And I understand, like I get it, because it's not the same as it was before. It's all new information.
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, if I was a trans person and it's like, oh, you're letting this girl change with the girls, even though she's identifying as a boy, and you're letting this girl who is now identifying as a girl who used to be a boy has to change by themselves. Why can't she's identifying as a girl now, change with the girls, when you've got the person identifying as a boy who gets to change with the girls? That's where like the quote unquote slippery slope kind of starts. Like,
that's why I think you just got to have like separate bathrooms for the time
so if
being,
you, yeah,
because
I
it
think
makes everyone, it's better for everybody, really.
I think that's probably the best way too. Like, not in a rude way or anything, but
No, it's not rude at all. Like, I mean, you're gonna have trans people push back a little bit, and these are usually the ones that are problems because it's a sense of entitlement. They think that, well, if I'm transitioning to a woman, I should be able to go in the woman's bathroom, but they're not thinking about other people in there.
they're not thinking
It's a
about
selfish thing
the
to look at. Right.
uncomfortability about the other women on the
Right.
team. And I think we made the right decision because the person who was transitioning female had always had their own personal, because they were female, or excuse me, male, always had their own room. We kept that. And the other person who was transitioning to male, they had a little sister who was with the other girls, so we moved her into a different group to kind of like,
We gotta
we
close
gotta
this one out.
roll.
Yeah.
I know we've been rolling for a while. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We love
That's
talking.
okay. I'm gonna listen a little bit more of him, then I gotta close it out because I gotta get this uploaded and go to bed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And as I
It's
said,
my
I think that the
bedtime.
best way to counter people that are saying things that you disagree with is to explain why they're wrong and to, let the free marketplace of ideas that hopefully is informed by an educated population decide for themselves what the truth is. And also people can decide for themselves what their truth is. They can live the way that they want. So I'm not really even saying that she should be banned or not. It's up to Twitch, and in general, like I think people should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. And if people don't like it, then explain why they're wrong, make them look stupid, and then that's going to do a whole lot more than banning them. Because I've seen what banning people has done in the last 10 years, and I don't think it's helped. I really don't. Like, after spending, like, I've spent 20 over...
Oh, it tends to make people martyrs. Like, and it's sort of like what Melanie was saying, because she's like, you know, she didn't take offense to what Asma was saying, and if anything, it brought attention to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she got clout from it because he was talking about it. He's got a big audience. So even if people don't agree with her, they're hitting her site, they're viewing her, she's getting money and paid from it. So she's making bank off complaining about being banned for 2 weeks.
20 years on the internet now. And I think that if I look back on the time that I've spent on the internet, and I think to myself, has banning every person with a dissenting or bad opinion been healthy and better for the internet? I would agree that I don't really think it is. I don't think that it's accomplished that goal. And that doesn't mean that every single person that's banned shouldn't have been banned. There are probably some bad actors that probably still should be banned. But I think the vast majority of people probably shouldn't be. But the idea that somebody should be able to talk about their religion and say something silly and then justify it as in, well, you can't criticize this because it's my religion, I think that's completely ridiculous.
That
Yep.
is a problem.
Yep. Yeah, and that's really what it just comes down to me, because, like, again, you and I, we don't care about people having faith, but I don't want people to try to sit there and tell me that this is like fact. Like, I've always pushed back on that.
Or someone saying, like, my religion says this, so you're wrong and you're going to hell.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to say that that's your blueprint for your life, then you need to follow it to a T and not select certain things out of it that, you know, you don't think applies to you. It all applies to you. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me.
Yes, no
This was-
problem. This was like double. Like, we probably should have taken one and then done one
Ah,
and one.
no,
'cause
usually
this is
this-
almost
this-
3 hours.
It's usually how we go. And usually it's like 3 topics. So I knew this one would be like a double
Because
whammy.
you know I have so many opinions.
Well, all of us
but
have opinions,
I-
but they're
I-
big
I am-
topics too, because
The one thing I'm taking from this is I'm finding my old Bible, which I'm sure I still have somewhere. And I am reading it cover to cover again and I'm going to highlight passages, and I want to hear all of these arguments. And I'm going to be like, oh, you're arguing against this. Well, I'm looking at my highlighted passage and you're doing this. And that is something that granted, like you said,
vanity,
yes.
tattoos.
Yes. We do not condone anyone for having religion, but the minute that you stand up on your pulpit and you're saying that this book is
Boom, boom, boom. That's the boom right there. Not Melanie Mac. That's the boom.
I'm the boom. The minute that you're saying that this book is your reason for your morality and your reason for life, but yet you're taking a thick ass
She's cherry picking it.
Yeah. And you're saying, like, this is my reason and this is my morality and this is my, like, measurement of morality and life. Okay. Please read it again, because there are so many things that you are missing. Please. Por favor.
Por favor. All right, everyone. Thanks again for checking us out. If you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel. Next week, I think I have like at least one thing planned on Friday to do the top 25 horror actresses of all time. My list against 3 other guys.
God, this is going to be like a 7-hour thing.
It might be, man. It might be a little long. We're not going to keep it quite that long because I'm not going to spend all day on it. But it'll be interesting to see where everyone comes up with their list. But outside of that, got some more new music coming your way next week. So check out my top 5 of the week. And we'll see you next time here on the Middletown Radio Podcast.
Thank you for listening to me rant all night long.
Yeah, she talks a lot. Later.
Just in it for you.